Ding dong. Okay, I'm a moron. Sorry about that. Thank you. I didn't know this microphone has a. I was on a whole roll. I didn't know this microphone has an actual mute button that my son hit. Okay, so let me repeat this. Betty's and you guys got me going live a little quicker because I seen you commenting in the chat. Betty in her little Facebook group that hopefully she won't be allowed to keep after today writes, all that are going tomorrow, please wear your Sebastian t-shirt if you have one. Let me start this off by letting you all know this right here is why and a reason why they will likely be granted. Not that we didn't think they would anyway, but even for the order of protection, they are calling for a mass group of people to be outside to support Betty. Do you know how idiotic you have to be to do that? No, you have a freedom, Michelle, come on. You have a freedom of speech. You don't have a freedom of consequences, okay? Let's not forget when that was all written, we didn't have social media and brave people behind audit accounts running their mouths. So she's so stupid. She's calling for a mass group of people to be there. Okay. All that are going tomorrow, please wear your Sebastian t-shirt if you have one. If you don't, wear a green t-shirt. This is horribly written. I will have flyers with me to hand out if it's a closed proceeding and we are outside. It's an RO. It's scold, and I will scold you for saying something so idiotic first thing in the morning, ma'am. Let me have my coffee before I allow such stupidity, okay? This doesn't take away your freedom of speech. You think you have a freedom to threaten and harass and intimidate people? Is that a right you think people should have, Michelle? Then you should be able to handle my scolding you in a chat if you think that's a right people should hold. Okay, so going on. If it's a closed proceeding. Oh, yeah, it's going to be open. It's going to be open, right? Because it's, I don't know, not a protection order, but yeah, sure. They're going to allow the whole masses to come in to a place where a woman feels unsafe. Yeah, come on in, guys. Come on in. I will have tape with me. You can tape a flyer to your t-shirt to be a walking billboard. Them so classy. I wish I could be part of that classiness, but sorry. Make sure to have water in your car in case we are outside in the heat. Now, what kind of crowd are you expecting? Like, you really, yeah, that's right. These are Betty supporters. These are Betty supporters, right? So of course they need to be told to bring water and stay hydrated in the heat. I forgot we're speaking to right here, right? All right. So I guess we're gonna see two people, one being this woman that wrote this and Sonia walking around with tape on their shirts. Interesting. It's gonna be an interesting day. It was me, Char. I definitely woke up on the wrong side. I'm sorry, Michelle, but come on, this isn't freedom of speech. You're right. Maybe I shouldn't have been so aggressive with you, but I can't stand the fact that people think freedom of speech is impacted by protection orders. That's absolutely asinine. Of course they're closed, Gentris. Can you imagine if they were open? So what the let me give you a little experience of when I went, right? When I went, you fill out the little paperwork as to why you feel you need it. Then you stand and oh my God, there's so many people. You get before the judge as ex parte, so it's just you and the judge and whoever else is having one, and you explain why you're filing for it. They either dismiss it, ask for more evidence, they ask for explanations, whatever. Then they have an X amount of days, depends on the state. An X amount of days comes by. What happened is you'll be given a court date. So here's where you bring your witnesses, you bring your, your reasoning, all of that, your evidence, your attorney if you have one, whatever. When you get there, you got to check in. So they'll be like, your number 89. I think I was 114 or that day or something, or it was really high up on the list. The woman in front of me walking in there was this family walking out. So she was going in against her abusive kid's father, and he had his two sisters and his mother. As they walked out past her, they started calling her names. And the poor girl was like all like shook and by, and she's like, even in here, they're harassing me, whatever. So when it came time for the actual court hearing, those people weren't allowed in until it was time to speak as a witness. They don't open these courts to the public. That would be so crazy. They're so crazy to think that they're going to open this to the public. Why would you even think they would do that? Yes, they're literally, Esme Amberly, they're literally stalking outside of Katie's protection order. hearing. How stupid do you have to be? Hey, Sing, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry. Between the muted and then whatever, I just went on my rant. Pineapple iced tea, let me tell you, it's very intimidating because you know in your heart why you went through the steps to file it, but you also know there's a chance that it won't be approved. I don't think anybody can understand the fear that comes with that. And you know what's going to happen if it doesn't get approved, right? Like Katie knows if Betty doesn't get served today and Betty gets to walk away without this restraining order, they're going to amp it up. They're going to amp it up. It's very intimidating. Good morning, Christina, Heather Dawn, Nisi B. Or other women. You get called a bitch, right, Nisi? And for people saying freedom of speech, I saw somebody else comment. This will be dangerous for YouTubers. No, it won't. No, it won't. If you don't know how to cover something or express yourself without intimidation, threats, harassment, then don't do it. Jamie, good morning. You can call me Jess, Granny, GW, it doesn't, whatever. Just call me something nice and I'll accept it. It's in 15 minutes and there's 11 cases today. She has 3. Thank you, Teresa. So Betty is showing up. And it didn't start yet, seeking the missing. Wait, did it not? Aren't they Eastern time? Anyway, even if, let's say it was 8:30, that's just the check-in time for everybody. The judge, depending on what number they put them on for today's docket. So just because it said 8:30 doesn't mean it'll start at 8:30. There's a good chance that, Central, okay, thank you, Cambry. There's a good chance that they won't be heard until 11. And I'm guessing the fact that Betty's facing 3 of them in the same day, they're going to be the last on the docket. Is 8? Oh, look at you all. So when I'm live at 8:30 is 7:30 for some of you. How are you even awake? Especially listening to me. Ooh. No, Sumner County is Central time. Thank you. Today's the day, but you doubt who wins, Maya? Katie or Betty? I bet you. I feel comfortable putting money on it that Betty will walk out with ROs on her. Is going to need a drink after work. I know. Can you imagine dealing with Betty? You're taking away my First Amendment rights. I have a right to freedom of speech. Had to cancel her concerts in Austria because of terrorist threats, and some people think it's funny. Ugh, so what a gross world we live in. What a gross world. Good morning, Marcia. I love it because I start working at 7:30. That is perfect. Art Music City Mom, I guess you're not going to go peep out the scenes today? You're not, Oh, thank you, Jamie. I can't wait to do all of that. No, I didn't, Pittsburgh Mom. No, I didn't. I wish I was a fly in that room. Yeah. I'm going to see TS at Wembley, and now I'm worried. TS. Oh, Taylor Swift, yeah. It is scary. Look what just happened to those children that were doing Taylor Swift's dance thing. Oh my goodness. Hey, Revival. How all right, let's say there is a chance, because we all know there isn't. Let's say there's a chance that Betty walks away without this order on her. How insane do you think she will get? Thank you so much, Nice Star. It's good to see you. You're in France. I've been out of town for work. Haven't been able to follow everything, though, past couple of days. The best confirmed she's actually going to show. Well, I don't know if Betty plans on going to show, but I do know in her Facebook group, she's encouraging or having somebody encourage a bunch of people to go, which is absolutely disgusting. I get to work from home and chill with Granny. Yay! Ooh. Hey, Granny, I'm new here. Love your channel. Watching from Washington State. Welcome, Cynthia. All 3 are today. Yeah. I know, Mel. I so apologize. The misogyny in this world is so disgusting. Many women have internalized misogyny. I agree. Tennessee rules harassment via electronic means threatens another person to the extent a reasonable person would perceive the communication as a threat of harm and or annoys, offends, alarms, or frightens. Right, and that's what Betty has done. They may hear her case first. They can disperse the crowd outside. Oh, yes, you're right. The crowd of two. Let's be honest. Not many people are showing up to support Betty. But crimology, if there are other nosy people, such as myself, if I lived in the state, I would certainly be there to see Betty walk in all her big girl glory. I'm curious what all the real PO will cover. So people are misunderstanding Maya. They say that a judge cannot tell Betty that she can't talk about Katie and or Sebastian, but a judge can. A judge can absolutely add into their findings that the person in question is not allowed to mention, communicate with, not allowed to use social media and say their name on any platform or on any channels without the RO sticking. Oh my goodness, Care Bears. Jessica would be a nightmare. She got out without the RO sticking because it would show others that are being here. Exactly. And they'll amp it up. Wow, Care Bears, thank you so much. There's one thing about her absolute constitution. She forgets that her rights and where mine begin, where her rights end. Okay, she forgets that her rights end where mine begin. You start talking king pew pews and machete, Betty. I take that as a clear and present danger, and I will handle my business if you ever approach me. Amen, Care Bears. What a great way to put it. Your rights end where mine begin. Hey, new kid in town. Welcome, welcome. Oh, man, I would love to be in CA. What here in ROs are you referring to? Betty, first, the Katie Proudfoot and the Bower socks. And you notice how Chris didn't file one? Can you imagine if what Chris did? They would all be like, oh, Chris is a wimp. He's scared of Betty. But he didn't file one because he's not. But Katie is, and she has a right to be. He can also say that she cannot have any contact through a third party. Yeah, are you nuts? That's usually added on there. I so wish JLR were there in court to video her when she comes out of that courtroom. Wouldn't that be great? Seek the missing. Wouldn't that be great? Yup, and you can't speak on them or to them through a third party either. Yup, Pineapple. Yup. Matter of fact, hold on, let me grab something because I don't think people understand this. So give me one quick second. Quick hold. Okay, so what I'm about to read will likely resort in amped up harassment, but I think it is important for people to understand. All right. Here it is. My particular case where I received an order of protection against another YouTuber who's never been in my state, but has absolutely used my name and this platform to incite all types of harassment and has made direct threats and wish of ill harm and all types of things against me. I was granted the wandering cell with the 24 months. Holy schmoly, girl. Thank you so much. You might wander, but you've never wandered from Granny's house. All right. So in the appeal process, the original judge that granted it has to give their opinion. And this is what they wrote in their opinion, which I think people don't understand that this is how this works. So in my particular one, it writes, this court finds that for about 2 years, the defendant individually and with the assistance of, excuse me, the court, sorry, it still gives me a little, I'm not going to lie, it's a little triggering. This court finds that for about 2 years, the defendant individually and with the assistance of his online followers targeted the plaintiff with an escalating pattern of aggressive behaviors, including cyber stalking, cyberbullying, threats, fake videos, sexual innuendos, and harassment. Even when the defendant was removed from the YouTube platform, the defendant persisted. The evidence presented at trial showed by a preponderance that the defendant placed the plaintiff in reasonable fear of bodily injury. It goes on to say, physical injury or contact is not required for the entry of a final PFA order. The only requirement is that the plaintiff demonstrate reasonable fear of bodily injury. Reasonable fear may also be inferred from the witness's testimony. Here, the plaintiff credibly testified. Well, I'm going to skip some of this because you guys don't need all of it. Okay. So the defendant ignored the plaintiff's plea to stop. When the defendant was removed from YouTube, the defendant enlisted his followers. So the fact that it goes on to mention that having a crowd and inciting the crowd against somebody is also part of it. How many times have we heard Betty say, keep me posted if you know where they're at. Oh, I've gotten emails from the neighbors, oh, Katie did it. And some of them leak over in here to say, Katie did it. That can all lead somebody to be in reasonable fear. When you were convincing people that this woman took the life of her child with no evidence whatsoever, okay, that would lead any reasonable person to be in fear, to have to look over their shoulder, to have to wonder if somebody's going to come and seek revenge under the belief that they believe that Katie allowed a P word around her son, that Katie took her son's life. So, I mean, and it says, this court finds it is reasonable for plaintiff to believe that the defendant's online activity could escalate to violence and physical injury, either at the hands of the defendant directly or by one of his followers. That will all be in consideration with today's court hearing. If Betty's followers are also a threat to Katie, and in my opinion, they are. I've seen the comments they make. It's insanity. Yeah, and that's the other thing. So, this is a whole booklet of papers, but it does say like harassment is reason to file for, protection and all these things. So there's a lot to it that I don't think people understand. And one big takeaway is that the courts don't find, for us, we're desensitized. We're on YouTube. We hear this stuff a lot, right? We all know Betty's, right? She does, Niecy. Miss L, hey, girlfriend. We all know the way Betty gets. So we're desensitized to it, right? But take one of Betty's live streams and present it to somebody who's not on YouTube, who doesn't follow her, who doesn't know her, and ask how they feel about it. It's not normal. Just because we hear it often enough to kind of normalize it doesn't make it normal. I wish JLR would go and scream, no chilies, no chilies. I kind of want to doubt it if, well, he doesn't want to be anywhere near Betty. And then Betty would scream he's harassing her, so he's not going to go. Hey, Parody Patty. First, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if he was outside the courtroom, but... So, yeah, when it comes to social media, you're also responsible for the following you have. Which it says it on the... when we agree to be content creators, we agree not to... one of the reporting factors we are given is a hate campaign. Right? Like if you're creating a hate mob against somebody, Betty has definitely created a hate mob towards the Proudfoots and even the Bowersox. And I don't care if you think they're guilty or not. I think they're all shady. I don't know who did what, but I wouldn't doubt if we found out that several of them worked together to do something. It's just my opinion on it. I still wouldn't be shocked either if we found out Sebastian left on his own. But there's no doubt in my mind that Betty has created an unsafe environment for the Proudfoots. So how about that, Lola? All right, so we got Betty and all her stupidity encouraging people to meet outside of the courthouse. The same audience that she has led to believe that she is innocent and she is a victim of the Proudfoots and the Bowersox and an unfair justice system. She is inciting them to be outside the courthouse. That is so dumb. That is one of the dumbest things you could do. I mean, could you imagine? Take any of you from the chat, Lynn Love, Cricket, Sammy, Kate the Great, take any of you from the chat and imagine you're going to file against somebody that you feel has put you in danger, that you feel has invaded your privacy and made you uncomfortable in your daily life. And then you found out that they were calling for a whole bunch of others who don't like you to be outside the courthouse. How would you all feel? I just, that is absolutely going to be discussed today. It's a closed courtroom. Absolutely is closed. Absolutely. The only way you're getting in that courtroom is if you were also on the docket to have a restraining order heard that day. Nobody's getting in that courtroom. Miserable life to have BHB life. She wants to create her own January 6th day at the courthouse. Well, I'm sure Sonia and this Alana woman will show up. Hey, cousin Trixie, terrified. Talk about anxiety, right? You're already under anxiety. You have to face the person who's been doing all this to you. And now you got to face their small crowd of people outside that are going to likely be chanting, "Where's Sebastian?" Oh, yeah. That right there should be enough to say, you know what? This woman is a danger. Shut down your Facebook group. You're not allowed to talk about them anymore. And yeah, the next violation will be criminal. I agree. I agree, Mia. Good morning, Indy. But I do believe what's right for one side is right for the other. The Proudfoots, Bowerstocks have not shown. Right, but they don't owe kindness, Lulu, right? Like, I don't owe anybody kindness, and not being kind isn't enough to deserve harassment. So, respectfully understand what you're saying, but I also disagree. Just because they're not kind doesn't mean Betty gets to harass them and threaten them and talk about bringing pew-pews and machetes with her and saying now their stepdaughter's not safe and they're, I mean, come on. Why did she even mention that little girl? That right there is harassment. The way she talks about that little girl, Chris's daughter, as if she knows her, and the photo that she put up. Ew. No, and they certainly don't owe kindness. I wouldn't be kind to these people out here either. Hey, Josie. Good morning, Kim. Acting when people doesn't like Seth or talk about him is crazy. I agree. She acts like it's her partner, and I wouldn't doubt it is. I know, Ellie. It does. It gets me, does get gets my anxiety going a little bit. Just because I know what the end result's going to be, right? I know there's going to be 15 people, actually the 3 same lunatics, live tonight screaming. It's like talking about it brings on more harassment, which is quite ironic if you think about it. Meanwhile, these people want to go get ROs against people because they said they smell. All right, so family deserves grace. They have a grandchild who's missing. They are being treated like shit. Yeah. And they're not out here doing the most, right? They come out, they share some things about Sebastian, and it still wasn't good enough. Did you all watch this? Do I think she'll show up? I do now. If they're seeing the Facebook post they put in that group, absolutely. Encouraging people to come out there. Yeah, I do. Arrest stalker, Betty. What do you think? She's just going to send her minions there? I don't know. I think Betty didn't want us to think she'll show up because she didn't want people like us showing up to counteract the people like her, right? Does that make any sense? And now this is just rumored. I don't know if this is true. I would have no idea. But I did hear that Seth is like hiding Betty. I don't know again. Flora, welcome. Thank you for becoming a member. You're blocked from me or blocked from Betty? You're probably blocked from Betty. I think we're all blocked from Betty. You don't think she's going? Put a 1 in the chat if you don't think Betty's going. Drop a 2 if you think she's there. Order to close the Cooter. Cooter court closed today. Oh my goodness. I think so too, Nisi. I think Betty knows if she doesn't show up, not only will she have this order granted against her, but she'll also have a warrant. So, I don't know. Good morning, Renee. Please do hit that thumbs up. Oh gosh, straight talker. Wow, we're pretty mixed here. A lot of 1s and a lot of 2s. I think she's going. I'm with you 2 droppers. I think she's going. Either I think she's not going, so she can say it was granted, without her being there and da-da-da, and then she'll have to go through the whole appeal process, which it is harder to win an appeal than to fight the initial thing. But because she knows she's going to lose, I don't know. I don't know where I stand. Good morning, Virginia. Thank you, Jax. Oh, I did see that. Do you guys want to see that really quick? So we all know Betty likes to run her mouth, and SF is not playing with her today. He is not playing with the Betty. So Jay posted this. If you guys want to go over and leave your thoughts underneath, give it a thumbs up. Yeah, I think we're all blocked from her 13th. She is a coward. So SF Investigates writes, I was sent a transcript of Bullhorn Betty claiming tonight that I've been trying to work with her for 2 years and she has turned me down. I have an amazing opportunity for Bullhorn Betty to help the missing if this is true. Show any proof of that, and I will donate $50,000 to a missing persons based nonprofit of her choice. Any proof. She has said this out loud, so she can't prove it and cheats a nonprofit out of a $50,000 donation. Then she herself proves she is a worthless cancer on this community, nothing but a bottom feeding leech who was a failure at life. Now, I was a little shocked he went that far, but he did. He did. Can you imagine if Betty shows up today wearing a Sebastian Rogers shirt? Ew. Talk about what's that movie? Misery? Where she kidnaps the Arthur? Oh Lord. So show the proof, Bullhorn, because the only communication between us, besides my demand to preserve evidence, is you begging me to come on your show during the Kylie Rodney case, to which I never responded. Also match it with another $50,000 if you can prove I was fired by the Kylie Rodney family as you claim, whom I still work for to this day. Here's your big shot to do something meaningful and raise $100,000 for the missing persons community. Don't fail them again, like you do time and time again. Flop at life. Hashtag flop at life. Wow. That is something. He sounds very confident. Either that or he sounds very rich. I don't know which one. Oh boy. Such a glorious day. I have to take the kids to the dentist for his crown. Awaiting word of the hearing makes me not care one bit that they are an ungodly amount of money. There you go, Eric. There you go. She did beg him to come on her show back when she was begging to get Ryan Upchurch on her panel. That is good shit. She straight up. He was like, okay. This is SF Investigates. He is a private investigator. He is pretty, people either like him or they don't, just like everybody, one of us on YouTube. But I personally like the guy. I was actually thinking BHB will wear the CP shirt into court. I wish she would be brave enough. Good morning, little mama. There you go, Cheryl. Freedom of speech does not allow anyone to scream fire in a theater. Common sense. There you go. Hey, Crimes. I'm telling you, she's not showing up today because she was not served. She just having others go there to protest, maybe. But here's the thing. I don't know if she didn't look into Tennessee law, but with an ex parte, just acknowledging that you're aware of the hearing is enough to consider her expected to be there today. So she's only screwing herself. And again, I feel like she's screwing herself on purpose so she can say, oh, it was given by default. Narcissists don't ever like losing. Okay? They don't like losing. And they will fight to the bitter end. Did you ever notice Betty's video where she started covering Sebastian's case titled Chris Proudfoot? I'll listen. She wanted so she did. You know what else she kept doing, Jay? She also kept saying, if you talk to me, Chris, I will never reveal what we speak about unless I have your permission. She wanted him so badly. And then she got mad because they went on QB's channel. And she took that as a personal insult against her. You would go on these ghetto trash channels and not mine? She acknowledged it. Exactly. She considered herself served. Better show up. She's a paralegal. She knows ex partes do not need to be served. I don't know why people keep thinking they need to be served. Listen, they put a warrant out for you so you can't not show up, right? That's what the whole warrant bit's about. Like, go ahead and try me. Try not to show up, but this is a warrant. You know what a warrant means? You don't appear, you can be arrested. Hey, Crystal. So you're right. I don't know why people don't understand what the ex parte is. Hello, Winnie. I don't think she will let this opportunity to see CP slip. You think, ew. Sorry, hold on. You think she'll be in there like fan girling over Chris Proudfoot? You know what? I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Ew, okay. No, this is it. Show up, bitch. And again, she's on news, national news, admitting she knows there's a hearing on the 8th. Okay, did you go by? There are police all over the courthouse area. Can you go by for us, Music City Mom? Like, can I toss you a few dollars for gas? And you like just peep the scene. Tell us if you see Betty or any of her supporters out there in their taped shirts with taped on Sebastian photos. I mean, come on, you can't get a little class here? That was disgusting, Jay. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, her choice of clothing that day will definitely be presented as well, I'm sure. All right, give us the 411. What's your daughter saying? There's police all over the courthouse. Do you think that's because of the Proudfoot showing up today? Are they going to escort them in through the back? I would think they would. I would think they'd make special arrangements for them. I mean, let's face it, they are in danger. SF and JLR working for the Proudfoots. I know, she's so annoying, Janet. She always has this, there's always these people that have this like lack of self-awareness and this delirious about them that they think everybody's working together, right? For example, anybody who calls out a particular creator, they always say they're working for me. Jay just went over a stream to discuss a panel guest, and suddenly it's because Jay's friends with me. Like, it always comes back to me. For the longest time, Betty used to always put everything back on Queen. I mean, she even accused Savage of only going after her because of Queen, but Savage is the one that started the movement. Savage is the one that went at Betty first. But you know, so when you hate somebody that much, you'll always blame them for something else. I had somebody say to him, "Oh, the tip line lady. Oh, it's clear you're working for the Proudfoots, ma'am. Stop texting my phone. I'm not working for the Proudfoots. Stop that." We worked in the criminal defense industry for decades. We always told our clients to dress in accordance. Oh, absolutely. You don't go in wearing, leggings and a t-shirt. Do you think Seth will show up with BHB? I wouldn't doubt the little slime ball would, with Tony in tow. I wouldn't doubt it. What do you guys think? I can see Tony showing up with Betty. How about any of you? She can say whatever name she wants. There's been no ruling yet. And actually, I don't know if, Savage was first before QB, to be fair, absolute shambles. Because I remember 3 years ago, Savage was calling out Betty and Tragedy Pimps, and I could see Tony doing it. I'm the spokesperson. All right, so speaking of which, did everybody watch it already? I'm sure you guys seen it a dozen times over. The whole interview with Vinnie Politan. News channels aren't outside the courthouse yet. They're not out there? They'll go, show up holding hands. I have the support of Sebastian Rogers' father, Seth Rogers. I have a right to search for this young boy where his mother isn't. So she's nuts. She's nuts. I know, when Vinnie found out, that was glorious. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm having fat thigh problems right now. Let me get something to put underneath my seat. All right, give me 1 second. Sorry. There we go. I don't want you guys hearing my skin unpeel from the chair every time I go to move. So we're all right now. My Kiwi mate on YouTube dropped a new song this morning about BHB. He has others about T-Rev. Oh yeah, they're pretty spot on. I think you would enjoy it. Thank you so much. Kiwi is he's a fantastic. I'm glad I won him over because he was very rough on me. All right, this is fabulous. I'm just sitting back watching her destroy herself. I tried watching Dolly, Vinnie interview, but couldn't handle watching Dolly for more than 5 minutes. Oh, really? And thank you so much. I'm sorry. God, how rude of me, Snazzy. I didn't thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Thank you, Southern Gale. How you been, my friend? Seth won't be there, you don't think, Michelle? You haven't seen it yet, Cousin Trixie? That makes me happy because I feel like everybody has. All right, let's jump into it a little bit. Fat thigh problems. I mean, we all know about them. With the humidity, makes your thighs stick a little bit. I got the fake pleather chair, so it was like every time I move. Come on, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. Seth didn't mention, where'd that go? BHB at all during the interview when asked if he had help. Great point. He did mention an undercover PI, which we're going to get into. Because you know who I think the PI is? That group is, I wish I was being paid. Hell. But no. Actually, sorry, let me stop kidding. Because even if the Proudfoots came to me today and offered me money, I would never take it. I would never take it. I'm just passionate about what I am saying and what I am doing. I think it is despicable for anybody to run around accusing this woman who police have not said there's been any foul play. I mean, and I have to correct this too. Somebody came in and told me it was a Chloe J that was on panel, made a disgusting remark about Chris Proudfoot allegedly essaying a child. And it wasn't a Chloe. It was Emmy Joe. And Emmy, if you are in here today, you are the same one that made disgusting jokes at the expense of the Proudfoot's last name, thinking that their name was Native American. Okay, so you've done some raunchy shit before, girlfriend. You've done some raunchy things before. All right, so anyway, carrying on. Actually, just going through that will probably get me struck, so.
Questions that need to be answered in this case. Here's more of Sebastian's story.
Of course he is.
Inside this beautiful neighborhood in Hendersonville, Tennessee, there is an unsolved mystery. It was a Sunday night going into a Monday morning, and 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was supposed to be inside his home sleeping. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, says he went to bed at 9, but was making some noise around 10, including a thud sound.
How do you know he's there? Sorry, because get off my thing. I don't see like a community tab or anything. So how do you know that he's at the courthouse? 8:30 Central. But again, 8:30 is just the check-in time. They have 13 on the docket, 3 of them being them. They might either do them first, they might do them last. I think they would do them last to get rid of the crowd inside the courtroom of the others that are there. It can be an all-day thing. I was there all day for mine. Like an unbelievable amount of time. I don't think that they're going to do their hearing unless they take them into a private courtroom and leave the others that are waiting to see the judge in a different courtroom. But I don't think they'll have that hearing in front of others that are in that courtroom. So right now it's 9:14. Oh yeah, we're exactly an hour difference. Okay. Katie should appear on Zoom. That would be great. Because I don't think she's safe to go to that courtroom. I know. How did he not know? Or who's innocent? I agree, Candy Rapper. I don't think we know anything. Hey, AT! What's up, girlfriend? All right. I just wanted to know how anybody would know who's there if they don't have it. What the name of the song is about the YouTubers? Is it because I'm a creep? I'm a weirdo. Or is there like an actual song that was made towards YouTubers? I don't know. Just wondering, do orders protection done in front of the public? No, they do not. They are not done in front of the public. Good morning, Canvas and Crime. No one will be cleared until Sebastian is found. There you go. They should get it done ASAP as to clear the court. Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on. Let's continue on here.
Katie told him to go to sleep. She went to bed at midnight. Then at 6 a.m., Katie woke up.
Never had anybody tell me to
get him
sing it.
ready for school, but Sebastian was gone. She searched the house, and he was nowhere to be found. Sebastian's stepdad, Chris Proudfoot, was not home, and Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, was at work about 45 minutes away.
All right, Seth Rogers was at work about 45 minutes away, but they don't mention that Chris was at work, I don't think. We'll get to it. Music City, Mom. Coming up to find you, Music City, Mom. Excuse me. Chris is there. Chris is at the courthouse. Canvas and Crime, you are so sweet. You do not have to donate memberships every time you come in. It's really sweet of you, but I don't want you to feel like it's obligated. So Music City is in the area. She was boots on the grounds helping in the search for Sebastian. She is reporting that Chris is at the courthouse. Hey, Sarah. Happy Thursday to you. They'll tell me if she gets it. I'll send you email. Someone that said they'll tell me if she gets it. I'll send you an email. Anyone who has ever had a teenage son has heard hundreds of thuds. I know. We're going to get into what he says here. It was so ew.
Police responded and began trying to figure out what happened. That was February 26, 2024. And as the days, weeks, and months have passed, still no sign of Sebastian, no sign of foul play, and no answers about what happened.
No answers, no signs of foul play, nothing. Day one, always and forever. Oh my goodness, with 31 months. Holy crap, 18, my girl. Thank you so much for everything. Hey, Larry. Court may close from 11 to 2 for the sheriff's funeral. Oh, interesting. That's the other thing. They're like mourning the loss inside their station, and Betty's planning on protesting them. Like, have some human decency. Hey, homie. If I wasn't honest income, I would definitely buy a membership. Candy, don't worry about that. Just put on your gift it. Hey, Shell, good morning. Every time Betty says boots on the ground. So, here's a funny story. Years ago when I was covering Betty and Molly and, you know, the whole crowd that made the Heels on the Ground group, I was covering them. And I think I made a little thumbnail that says squeals on the ground. And it was a bunch of little, you know, not quite 31 months, but still very much appreciated canvas and crime. And it was a bunch of pigs, little fussies, adorable fussies. And I said squeals on the ground. Let me tell you, some random person I don't know, don't remember the name, never knew the name, went on this whole campaign about I stole her saying. And I'm like, who are you? It was wild. But yeah, so they were the original squeals, heels on the ground, heels in the air. Rest her soul. 700 if you forgot to hit the like. Whoa now. Music City, thank you so much for donating 5 memberships. There you go, Candy. Hopefully it'll get you.
Did someone harm
Yeah, it was
Sebastian,
funny. I'm like, who
or
are
did
you?
he just walk away? We're searching for answers as we investigate the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers.
Dun, dun, dun.
From the beginning, this case has not made a lot of sense because of the lack of evidence, the lack of leads.
Stop it, Jay.
I want you to take a look,
that is so
though,
well
at
known.
the original Amber Alert in this case, because I think it's significant. The Amber Alert went out, issued on behalf of the Sumner County Sheriff's Office for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Sebastian is a 15-year-old white male, 5'5" tall, 120 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Sebastian was last seen on February 26th, 2024, in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Flip-flops on the ground.
February 26th. That's the last time he has been seen. So what's going on right now?
I don't know. Let's talk to his father and find out. Am I right? Hey, Juno. Thank you so much for being number 281. That's night 3 or 4. Ern's going to get someone. Oh, what is that, Crimes? Late to the party, Naomi. Rumors have it if you don't hit the like button, BHB's Cuter will haunt you in your dreams. Oh, Wander and Sub. You're going to get all the likes up.
You know, we profile missing children all the time, every night.
So listen to what he just said there. We profile missing children. They profile people all the time. Okay, this is what they do. This is what Vinnie does. This is what News Nation does. I know, Lil Mama, like him or not, they have done this a lot of times. They see these type of people all the time, which I think plays a huge part in the way this ended. His knees on the ground, you know, Chili's baby back ribs. Are they the original baby back? I don't know if they are. Thank you, Sunflower. Number 289, right on time. All right, if Betty was oh my God, you know, some woman said that about me. She's like a disabled woman. She's a trip. I don't want to be mean and put her up on the screen, but she said that about me and I couldn't I couldn't stop laughing. I was dying. She's like, I'm going to shave my dog's ass and train him to walk backwards and call him Jessica. And I was like, I can't even be mad at that. That was hysterical. All right, you got me.
So my question right now is,
Mrs.
Is
P. We all know
anyone-
Mrs. P, right?
Anyone still searching for Sebastian?
Crafty Granny T.
Let me bring in my special
I
guest.
hope I can bring you the
someone
tea
I know
today.
is still searching. Sebastian's father, Seth
Baby back.
Rogers, is with us, and also joining us, the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis.
All right. So I want to stop right there because he said someone I know is still looking, right? 5 months. I was a Butch watcher for over a year. Chris it. Pass me the basket, girlfriend. Virtual fist pump. He said someone I know is still looking. Now, with utmost respect, when was the last time we saw of Seth or Tony or any of them doing a search aside from when they gave it to the news? Remember, courtesy of Tony Mathis, and it was a picture of Seth Rogers in a boat, and then Narcs came out and said, well, you're not really reading or using the sonar properly, right? So when was the last time they searched? I don't know. But what is going on here with this? Is that a real background? That it looks like grandma's room, right? Tell me that doesn't look like everybody's grandmother's room. What's going on with the picture? That's a giant picture of water on the bed. That this is very beautiful furniture. They don't make wood like this anymore, I'll tell you that. I mean, it's a fancy furniture, but it's very outdated. Oh, the background was a joke, was it? He's in his grandma's bedroom, right? I thought so. Okay. We do have somebody in the chat that's very close to the courthouse that has given us little slight updates that they can, including that Chris Proudfoot is currently at the courthouse. I guess they're going in ready to fight it. They're ready to fight it. Now, I told you all, I've been watching a show, Being Human, so I keep thinking like vampire shit. Like, this is very outdated, like outdated furniture. Picture behind Seth looks like the one behind Betty. Oh, are we getting that far into conspiracies? Let's see.
Thank you both for being.
Now he's too close. What picture? I don't even see a picture behind him, girl. What you talking about? What picture? Hey, Simp Chimp. Chris ain't playing today, huh? This thing, I think that looks like, I think he's in his kitchen.
Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, is with us, and
No
also
jokes.
joining us, the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis.
On the wall. Well, of course the picture would
Thank
be
you
on the
both
wall.
for being here. Appreciate
the picture.
the opportunity to speak with you.
The picture on the bed? Picture or the picture? So the texture of the Betty's wall is the same as Seth's. It may be. I mean, we've heard that he's hiding her out. What are you, a noob, Kraken? Naomi, thank you so much for the super sticker. She was whispering so Ellie didn't hear her if they came to the door. The picture behind her, behind Seth. Hold on. Ooh. Ooh. This thing? Can't be that. Hold on. If Seth was hiding Betty out from being served from the mother of his child, oh, do you know how low down that would be? Is that a picture, though? I thought it was a shelf. She probably is. The lamp. Now we're talking about the lamp? Wait, are we talking about Tony's background or Seth's? Right, that's a rack, not a picture. All right, hold on. You guys got me confused. Somebody's saying the picture, like the water pitcher. Then we got the picture. Now we're talking about the lamp. I don't know what we're talking about. I don't know what is going on here.
Joining us, the Rogers family spokesperson, Tony Mathis.
If there's a bed, there's a Betty.
Thank you both
Hey, Ness,
for
thank
being
you
here.
so much.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and the opportunity to speak about Sebastian. Seth, let me begin with you.
So Vinnie made it very clear. We are here to talk about Sebastian. I feel like in every interview, it is known that they are there to talk about Sebastian, but they really talk about Seth. I don't know. It's just my opinion. And also I'm biased, so I'm aware of that.
Is anyone still searching for your missing son?
No.
I am. I have a private investigator that's still working on it. She conducts her searches in private.
The private investigator conducts her searches in private. Now, it has been rumored who the PI may be. Oh, the water. Well, now we're back to the water pitcher. I don't know.
She has her own volunteer base. we're not going to stop until we find it.
He does look sad, man. I will say he does look sad. It really does. I don't know if it's intentional, but he does look sad. Hey, OG Fish. Who is that lady that was an old neighbor from California? The old neighbor from California. Probably why he's black and white. So color wall isn't the same as Betty's wall. His coloring does look a little odd, doesn't it? Very down. He looks at someone in the room when he's interviewed. Can BHB Zoom for the... So BHB can Zoom for the court if she made prior arrangements with the court.
Let me ask you this, Seth. Outside...
Look at the big support the police badge added to the hat.
Of what you are doing, is this search still active? Let's talk about law enforcement.
I don't trust Tony, man.
From my understanding, law enforcement is still searching.
Okay.
They're doing it privately as well.
So law enforcement is still searching. There we go. Law enforcement is still searching. They're doing it privately as well. That's great. Yeah, why is he in black and white? Is it to avoid the... That is some shady stuff that Betty would come up with. Like, oh, when you go on, we're going to turn you black and white so nobody can compare the wall.
There's a checking in on tips when they come in. If we get tips, we pass them on to them. Same time we get them.
And how is that part going with tips? Are people still providing information when they come across things? And what are your thoughts about?
We still get information.
Okay.
We still get emails every day.
Okay, so their personal tip line is still up and operating. They're still receiving tips on it. They're claiming they get the tips and then they give them to law enforcement. But when I spoke to the tip line woman, good morning, Mitten Mama, they told me that they get the tips to the police through the back door. I don't even know what that means. The painting behind Betty are gold frames, like weird patriotic paintings. Like outdated. Like Tony's whole look. Hey, PBJ.
We have a tip site that is up. A PI put that up. It's a valid tip site for anybody who wants to email.
The PI put up the tip site. Who remembers the tip runner, the lady answering the phone line, stated to me that the friend of the mayor asked her to run it. Well, we all know who says they're a friend of the mayor, who was also was at one point or another a PI. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying this person is absolutely without a doubt the PI, but I'm a little curious. Are they paying the PI? Hey, Roro, Ninth Life. I don't know. Look like a bed and breakfast type of room in Tony's. Seth is not in black and white other than his face and shirt. Why is that? Is that just his color right now? Like, does he just look? I mean, that would be sad. Hey, Ryan Apple. Kathy, good morning. Granny and her son was close to Sebastian. Whose son was close? I think his PI is the lady answering a tip line. She's not very well at being a PI. That's the sepia filter? Why is he filtering? Right, that's a gossip line. Oh, is this supposed to be symbolic? You think so, Gypsy? Good morning, Gracie. Locals have called hold of some interesting tidbits surrounding Seth. I'm sure I'll be on YouTube soon. Well, I know JLR said he came up with something that has him, like, feeling brazen, very brazen.
Recall wants to be anonymous or whatnot.
Tony, I wanted to bring you in the conversation. This is a difficult situation. And I understand the onslaught of public attention that this has gotten. And sometimes that's a big positive in keeping Sebastian's face in the public and getting people to know who he is and think about him. And if they see something, hopefully say something. But obviously there can be downsides as well. How is all of this publicity, from your perspective, impacting the search for Sebastian?
So the fact that he said, you know, Tony, I want to bring you into the conversation. Tony shouldn't be brought into any conversation. Tony is an absolute creepster. Listen, did you guys hear the way Tony spoke to Barbecue Lady? He's an absolute despicable person. He is using this newfound attention, thinking he's out here like the mafia, threatening people into silence. Tony, shut the F up. Please do. Please shut the F up. But why are you asking him? No, unfortunately not, Gracie. There's some BS about a Walmart, but no, not really. Unfortunately not. Why are we asking Tony how it's hindering? Why don't you ask Tony how he hindered the investigation for Sebastian? I think that would be a more appropriate question. How he hindered it. Oh, he makes me so angry. Look at him.
Well, we don't really believe that any of the media attention, social media attention, any of that.
Is this the picture on the wall you guys are talking about? How many people rewatched the video early on of Seth searching? Seeing it now that we have a good idea who Seth is gave me chills and a weird feeling about him. Wow. Any updates yet, Jay? Thinks he runs the show. He does think he runs the show. Yuck.
Is really going to impact what law enforcement's doing one way or another. It does impact the father, you know, that I represent, Seth. You know, we thank all the creators out there that continue to keep Sebastian's name out and do it in a positive way.
I'm sorry, Gracie. I know you're a little new to following this. So no. Tony, all right. So the man that was just on the screen is Seth Rogers. He's the biological father. The stepfather is Chris Proudfoot. Chris Proudfoot's not on the screen. Tony here is a tragedy vulture. Tony here goes around on Facebook and to these missing children groups, and he seeks out the parents to try to get his claws into them because Tony here wants to be infamous. He wants to be famous. He wants to be a true crime sleuther, but he's not. He's an old man that sells cranes. Okay? He just sells cranes. Tony originally worked with Caleb Harris's family, where he was despicable towards them, and when they no longer wanted to work with him, he changed the TikTok for Caleb Harris to Tony's personal TikTok, where he could do his YouTube creator drama. He's a disgusting man. He called a female and threatened her. He's no good. He is no good whatsoever. And I think he is the biggest vulture out here, preying on the weakness of these parents and coming in like, oh, I'm going to be your spokesperson. You have no spokesperson experience. Sit up properly. Wear a bra if you have to, but sit up properly. Look like you want to be there. Fix your shirt and put some respect on what you're speaking about right now. This whole like leaning back and flopped overness is totally disrespectful. You're on national TV. Act like it. This is why you can't take classless people anywhere. I'll tell you.
You know, our message to most of the...
How come you come alive on TikTok where you get to be a crude, ignorant person, but on here you're like, You want to keep the audience's attention? Freaking speak up, sir. I have no respect for Tony at all. I think he's the ultimate vulture.
Way. You know, our message to most of the media attention, more social media than mainstream, is that, you know, we ask that you cover the case in a positive way. If you choose not to do that and back away, that's okay too. But
what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Why do you always mention, he always mentions drama. You know why? Because he's drama at heart and these people can't escape it.
Social media, the mainstream, is that, you know, we ask that you cover the case in a positive way, Sebastian's name out and do it in a positive way. You know, our message to most of the media attention, more social media than mainstream, is that...
Remember, this guy said mainstream and had to be, he wanted A-list mainstream. He didn't want C and B. He wanted mainstream. I did not see that, Lola, but I saw that he films like the Idaho 4 house and all of those things. PJ, he needs, like, somebody needs to take that picture full of water, throw it in his face, wake this man up, and remind him where he's at. To be so, like, sluggish.
You know, we ask that you cover the case in a positive way. If you choose not to do that and back away, that's okay too. But
what does that even mean? We ask that you cover the case in a positive way. And if you can't do that, back away. What does that even mean? Are you telling Betty to get away because she's adding nothing but negativity and heartache to the case? Well, what are you saying here? Again, he has to bring up drama. We're not here for Tony's fifis, right? We don't care if social media hurt your little feelings, Tony. It's not our fault that you showed your little baloney on the screen. Doesn't matter that half YouTube hates you. You were here to speak about Sebastian Rogers, not Tony's feelings, not Seth's feelings.
Any positive support that we can get for Seth while he's looking for his son is a big deal for us.
And Seth, I know that during the course of all of this, there have been some potential leads that became very public, including a photograph of someone who seemed to resemble Sebastian at a rest stop in, I believe, North Carolina.
You know what, Vinnie? You know what I wish Vinnie would have asked? But let's face it, Vinnie hasn't been paying much attention to Sebastian's case. Vinnie was really big into Madeline Soto's. He was big into Karen Reed. He wasn't focused on Sebastian's. But I wish he would have said, well, Tony, can you tell us what harm you caused when you came out with this fake Amber Alert as being factual? Hey, Tony, can you tell us about your late night TikTok flirting sessions going on where you and your panel, fake attorney panel guests are causing nothing but chaos? Tell us about all of that. But no, we're going to go back to the fake sighting.
How are you holding up through all of this? And where's your level of optimism right now?
I have faith. I have hope. Sebastian's alive. We just got to find him. There is nothing else. Just find Sebastian.
Tony, I wanted to get you in on this as well, in terms of as a family spokesperson, do you feel that there is...
Hold on, I'm sorry. I was a little distracted.
Football. As a family spokesperson, do you feel that there is still the same...
First off, he's not a family spokesperson because, let's face it, unfortunately, Seth is not a family. He is Seth's spokesperson. Also, I can't help but wonder, did he just put this... And listen, I'm being petty, tearing it apart a little bit. I'm not doing it for, like, you know, to be an asshole or anything, but I am curious. Did he just stick this police support badge on his hat? Like, did he make this hat himself for this interview or something? I don't get it. And is he doing it to, like, symbolize, like, hey, I'm friends with you guys. I support you guys. Clear me as a suspect. I don't know.
Level of, I guess, commitment.
Doesn't look like it fits, though.
From everyone, the community, law enforcement, media, to make sure that anything and everything is done to find this missing child.
Right.
Well, Vinnie, I think that it's our job to keep his name out there in the community.
If that's your job, then why did you send out over 7 cease and desist? If that's your job, right? If your job is to, thank you, Pearl Girl Opinion, please do hit the thumbs up. If your job is to keep Sebastian's name and image out there, then why did you stop people? Oh, thank you, Keisha. I appreciate that. It just doesn't look like it fits. I don't know. Like, not that it doesn't fit his head. You get it. Why is he doing that? Like, why are you sending out cease and desist, especially to people that were boots on the ground looking? You know, a lot of people are talking about the Proudfoots putting out this RO or the Bauer Sox putting out this RO. I think it was far more harmful to send out cease and desist to people that had good intent than it was for anything else. The RO's nothing in comparison to that. The cease and desist literally said you can't mention Sebastian's name. What is that?
All of our job on Seth's team, and of course I represent just Seth. You know, it's all of our jobs on his team to keep the community engaged. We continue to have events, have vigils, have gatherings.
When was the last event? When was the last one? When was the last event? When was the last gathering? When was the last of any of it?
Keep his name out there.
Keep his name out there.
The media, mainstream media, such as yourself and many others, have been very good and very helpful. It's very easy to get interviews if Seth feels up to doing an interview. I think the X factor for
if it's very easy to get interviews, then why haven't you gotten them? And again, why does this guy talk like a zombie? Like he's slouched. He's just so like. If I didn't have all of you here with me, I would tune out of this because it's so like I can't do I'd rather not. Could it be a correctional office badge hat? No.
For us is law enforcement. I think that the communication, it's been a bit lacking, at least as far as Seth and I are concerned.
What is with that mustache too? I'm sorry, this is getting a little odd, but communication is lacking. You think that the police appreciate you coming on court TV and insulting the police? Do you think that is acceptable? All right, I was just making sure. I couldn't tell by the one comment. You know what I mean? Like, they don't owe communication. You're a suspect.
You know, we don't really know what it is they're doing. We have faith. We heavily back the blue. Of course, you know, Seth is in law enforcement.
He's wearing
in Oklahoma. We strongly back the blue.
He's wearing his back the blue hat. Come on, police. We back you. We back you. Now clear us. That's a weird mustache, isn't it? Doesn't look very good for him. I would suggest he just gets rid of it. But again, I would suggest he sits up and has proper posture. I mean, this is going to kill your back at the end of it. Sit up.
In my community.
You're on freaking national TV.
You know, the question that I always ask that we still haven't got an answer to is...
the day he thought of this, he thought it was the cast me out. I mean, he wrote this down and repeats it everywhere he goes. This is his catchiest catchphrase this man has ever came up with. This is his Cranesman sales pitch, right? This is all this is. This man is a salesman, and he sucks at it. You suck at it. I wouldn't buy a thing from you. Hey, Zam. Seth could go to SCSO and speak to the investigators anytime, but he doesn't. That's right, SS. They're sleeping on us. Seth just said they were searching. Now you don't know what they are doing. Right, because there's no communication. But yet he just said the police were still searching just privately. He's not a law enforcement cop. He's just not. National TV in a bedroom, so professional. I mean, do they even like have any wear the shirt? Where's the sign of Sebastian? Where's Sebastian's face on a t-shirt? Where's something to say like, hey, this is our purpose. Oh, shopaholic. Where I live, we have been looking for a young woman for 7 years. She was found yesterday in our garbage dump. Ah. Wow, I'm so sorry. 7 years found at the local garbage dump. That's terrifying. Hey, Keto Kim, good morning. There you go, making sure national news thinks he's on law enforcement. Right, he just told national news that Seth is law enforcement. He is not. When you reached out to law enforcement and asked them Seth's title, he's not law enforcement. CO arrested the other day for being a prisoner of death. Holy hell, man. He's got a long way to go to match your beard. Correctional officer, badge, hat, looks similar. Really? Let me see. I don't see any similarity. Oh, like this? Thin gray line, fit it, flex fit, hat, support, gray line, flag. Okay, he's in black and white, so that could be. Huh.
You know, just simply tell Seth, are you any closer today to figuring out what happened to Sebastian than you were on February 26th? And quite frankly, we feel like that's a very fair and logical question. We have not got an answer to that.
Do you? What is this? What is this footage? Just as them searching for Sebastian? This is how they did it? In the dump? Is this supposed to be actual footage of them searching? Me too, Captain Goss. I'm just kidding. I got a better one today. law enforcement cops cannot have ponytail unless he works right, because the inmates can grab it. The police can grab it. I've never heard that, to be honest. It's from the news. That's how they searched. Oh gosh. Then Sebastian's own father. We'll get to that. That's right, tattoos. Tell them. Vinnie found out the hard way. Do your own research.
To be absolutely excruciating. By the way, folks, as you watch, you'll see on the bottom of your screen numbers and places you can contact if you have any information. Seth,
that's sad.
How are you holding up? I'm always concerned about you.
So the number they gave is the actual factual tip line, the only tip line that anybody should be pushing.
Going through this, I've spoken with other parents through the years. I got a strong sense from them what it can be like. How are you holding up?
Vinnie's saying, I've spoken to parents that are innocent. I know what it's like. Okay. That's what you meant when you said 11 on the docket today. 3 of them are Betty's. Yeah.
It's more like 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time. You know, it doesn't really seem like it's been 5 months. It's just you lose track of time. I mean, all you're doing is thinking about the next place to go look, what the next thing needs to be done, and just trying to stay positive, trying to stay focused on finding my son and what's the next step to do.
Something looks weird over here on this side of his face, like cartoonish. Is that because of a filter? I'm not going to lie. I feel him. I feel that Seth is being genuine right here. I do. And I know some of you are like, fuck him. But I couldn't fathom what my day-to-day life would be like. Again, we don't know if Seth is guilty. We know that he has definitely used this opportunity to seek attention for himself and seek revenge on Katie, but we don't know if he's guilty of anything to do with Sebastian. Oh yeah, some of you have no sympathy for him. All right, I get it. Searching for a job.
What's been the biggest frustration for you so far in the search?
Tony. I think Tony has been his biggest frustration. I think the moment he brought Tony in, he flipped his whole world upside down. That's what I think he did. I think he had actual good people on his team willing to help seek and search for his son. And when Tony got on the scenes, he felt threatened by the professionalism that they brought to the table that Tony Mathis himself will never bring to the table. So Tony had to get rid of them. I think Tony is a vulture. Exactly, PJ. Yeah, I still felt bad for him too. I mean, I can feel he's not doing his kid much justice by acting the way he does, but I still feel sad he's lost his kid. Exactly. But hey, Wah. Good morning, Karen. That hat looks like it has a flag on the front, but not like an iron on. To me, it looked like an iron on that wasn't ironed on correctly. I don't know. He's a self-made victim, but he's gotten that from Tony. If anything, Tony made him a victim, man. He was despicable. What Tony was threatened by actual PI. Tony was threatened by Trevor Lee. You see the way Tony spoke to Trevor Lee in private? Ew. Tony's just a crumb bum, dude. You're a crumb.
Not getting much in terms of information-wise. The last thing that I was really informed of by the sheriff's office is they don't have anything stating that he left the house.
All right, so let's pause right there, right? Because on one hand, you got them saying they have no communication with law enforcement. On the other, you have them saying law enforcement is still searching. They're just doing it privately. And now you have them saying law enforcement said they don't have anything to say he ever left the house. I think this is all important. I believe that Tony has helped Seth to shut his mouth. They may not be good people, but I think Seth would be in jail by now if Tony hadn't made him shut his mouth. Do you really? I think it's opposite. I think Tony kept Seth from running his mouth. Check my email. All right. Deanna, you agree? Oh. Okay. So on today's docket, it is only Katie Proudfoot. It is not the Bowersox. Katie Lynn Proudfoot first, Andrea Lynn Griffin, hearing type order of protection. Both are pro se, which means they don't have attorneys. I'm not going to show you it because I don't want to give off the other names that are on this list. I mean, these are people that are seeking protection from abuse, so I don't think we have a right to see or hear their names. But it is only Katie today, and it is scheduled for 1 p.m. What time is it now? Or you guys are an hour behind me, so it's 9:51 for all of you. So I want, and Katie and Andrea are the only ones that actually have a time posted for their hearing, an actual time posted. They're the only ones. Nobody else on this list has what this has, which is 8/8/2024 at 1 p.m. That's interesting. They did take polygraphs. They did take them. Oh, right. Okay. I just meant on today's docket. On today's docket, there's no time frame for them, which is different. I guess because they're taking it very seriously. I remember that Seth said one of the reasons he went with Tony and dropped Chloe is because she wanted background checks done on anyone involved with the team. Yep. Because Tony didn't want his own background done. And then Tony turned around and said he has the background of everybody else. What's not correct, Kay? Sorry, correct me. Last before lunch. Wait. Hold on, I'm confused. I can't show you. I don't want to show other people's names, but nobody else has a time written next to theirs. Last before lunch. That's just saying they're last before lunch, 9 a.m. What I'm looking at says 1. It says 1 p.m. I don't want to show other people's names. That's not showing for me. I'm trying to see how I can do this without showing the name. 1 p.m. is the ones after it says 1. 1 p.m. is the ones after it says 1. Wait a minute. Check this. All right. We share this tab right here. 1 p.m. You're saying, okay. So you're saying this isn't attached to Katie. This is attached to underneath here. Is that how I'm understanding what I get what you're saying now? All right. 1 p.m. starts the next round. Okay. It just looks so they're last on the list before the 1 p.m. begins. Correct. Okay. Okay. That wasn't so difficult to figure out. Okay. So it's not that it's their time written. It's just that starts the next round. It's just the way that it appears on there. Okay. She's not been on since last night. I say she's driving. That's why the time has been changed to later. Gives her time to get here. So when they say like court is at 9 a.m., for example, everybody shows up at 9 a.m. Doesn't mean your hearing will be at 9 a.m. Does that make sense? So at 9 a.m., all the people on the list for the 9 a.m. hearing show up. They check in. Their attorneys check in. All that stuff. Attorneys give the, whatever. And then they get called one by one. So it might be, it's me, Tiffany, you're up first. Then it might be Niecy B. Then it might be Miss Leah, so they all will say 9 a.m.
And that's pretty much, that's it.
All right, we got it then.
Obviously, he's not there, or else we wouldn't be looking for it.
For example, when it came to my hearing, I went and told them, I said, I didn't realize this would take so long. I have to go pick up my child from school. So the judge was able to get me in. Oh, absolutely, Jay. The judge was able to get me in a little bit quicker because I had to get out of there. Right, exactly. I showed up at 9 a.m. It wasn't caught until 2 p.m. Yeah, it's like a whole day thing. It's absolutely a whole day thing. I hate being incarcerated. Well, Mrs. Kirby, I've never been incarcerated, but I would think I would hate it as well. I'm really like claustrophobic. I don't like small areas. Hey, Jay.
Hey, I just wanted to show you something real quick on the.
Pop it up, lady.
All right. So, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go here in their court thing and you put Andra in, you
Mhm.
see the 3 different filings. You see Katie's on the 26th and then the Bowersox on the 2nd.
Right.
And okay, so here we have, right, this second one is the Bowersox. So if you click on that, then you're taken here and it says hearing
It's
August
today.
8th. Yeah, for both of them.
But they're not.
They're not on
But
that docket, which is weird. So
I wonder if the Bowersox asked to not be on today's docket.
right, I don't know. But it says that in there and then but they're not showing up on the docket. So
There
I
must
just
be a.
wanted
It
yeah,
could
I just
also
wanted to show you
be.
that.
It could also be that the Bowersox didn't show up today. It could be they asked for a continuance. There could be so many reasons
Yeah,
for that
maybe they're
too.
waiting to see how it goes today.
Right. Or maybe the courthouse decide not to put them on the docket because, they're going to look at news reporters coming. They're going to look at sociopaths like Betty's little crowd of, taped on flyers people come in that had to be reminded to
Do
bring
you
their
think that
water.
really happened? Because don't you think they'd be
Yeah.
live?
Well, no, because Betty wouldn't be able to be live at that point. How could she? You know what I mean?
True.
And then I don't know if Sonya has a channel, but yeah, I absolutely believe that they called for people to show up there today. Yeah.
Well, I didn't.
I plan to be there for 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. I have a long drive combined with traffic. This is what they said. Savage posted this one. You told me about it actually. Make sure to have water in your car in case we are outside in the heat. I am planning to be there for 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. I have a long drive combined with traffic. Why would you drive that far to be somewhere for 30 minutes?
Who is that, anyways?
I don't know.
Do we think that that's actually Betty?
I don't know if I think it's Betty, but I certainly think it's somebody who's in her little, inner circle of delusions.
Alana? I mean, that doesn't even seem like a real name. Rizitano?
Yeah, I mean, really. And then again, to use your real name like that, knowing the heat that Betty has.
Yeah, it's definitely an alt. I'm calling an alt.
Look at the print date on docket. What do you mean the print date on the docket?
When they printed out the docket, there should be a date at the top left corner or bottom left corner or something like that. Like printed or
at 9:26 a.m. it was
today
printed, on the 2nd.
Oh, that's why, because the Bowersox hadn't filed yet.
So that's what happened with me, Jay. So I actually wasn't on the docket. I was a write-in at the bottom with pen.
Okay, so that might be what it looks like at the courthouse then. They might be written in because they filed on the 2nd and it wasn't on there yet.
Yeah, because I was actually like penned in. Like I wasn't on the actual docket either. I was just added in at the bottom.
Yep, I bet you that's what it is. So maybe they're going to see them all like in a row since they have the same defendant.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't doubt it. And again, they're stacking on her, right? So it all, because I'm sure the Bowersox are a witness for Katie. I'm sure Katie's a witness for the Bowersox. I'm sure it's all added together.
Yeah, I don't think the news is going to be planted there for a protection order.
No, it's
I
disrespectful.
Just don't. Yeah, they won't do that. They're not going to put Katie on blast for that.
Mm-mm.
Especially since they reached out and she didn't contact them back. They're not going to be all over this like Bullhorn Betty thinks.
No. And I said the same thing because first off, whether we like it or not, there's a level of seriousness to this, right? Like for us, it's like, oh, we know Betty. It was funny. My sister sent me a thing like, did you hear about this? And it was Katie feeling unsafe from Betty.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, do you even support my channel? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
I heard
it's like
about
another
it.
life.
Right. It's like, hello. But there's a level of seriousness that for us, we're kind of like Betty to, but
we know how she is, but you're right. Imagine not knowing her.
Right. So for the outside world, they don't know everything we know. They don't view things the way we view them because they don't see it the way we see it.
Oh, you know what would be great, Granny?
What?
I'll tell you in private. I have a really good idea of something we could do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll text you now before it leaves my mind.
Yeah, because I'm curious. I'm very curious.
Yeah, it would be fun. It'll be fun, but I don't want to give it away. Sorry, go ahead. I'm
what was this? Swan and BHB's Facebook group said cases was called, order extended. Judge said BHB is avoidance service. So they extended the protection order. said that Betty is avoiding service, which means the judge is aware you're avoiding it. He's not happy about it. That looks really bad against you. If any of this is true, Pretty in Pink.
Okay, I texted you. Let me know what you think.
So they're saying that the hearing was extended.
Oh, really?
For Betty avoiding service.
Oh, boy. Where is that posted?
Oh, that would be brilliant, actually. They're saying in Betty's Facebook group. She won't let me in. Are you in it?
Hell no. You talking about the one with Tony?
Yeah.
No, I got banned.
Anybody in there that can send us a screenshot? Thought it was probably... Oh, that's okay, YouTube Inspector.
I get mine from JLR's group because they blocked me.
I'm blocked too.
I got screenshots from that group, though, that somebody said something about a video I put out, like the Ruckus video. And then Tony was like, we do not support her here at all.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, oh, my God.
Dude, I'll tell you what. If somebody like Tony does support you, reconsider what you're doing in life.
Right? Right. If you have a truce with Tony, you just might be shady.
Right. Just maybe. Just maybe. It's Justice for Sebastian Rogers. And it's like one of Betty's cheesy thumbnails is the banner.
You're a good thumbnail maker, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
They're funny. They're funny.
I try.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hop down and let you finish your show, but I just wanted to show that, and we'll find out what happens.
Thank you for explaining that. But yeah, I'm curious if we can get a screenshot showing that it was extended.
I know. If anybody's in that Facebook group, email it to Granny.
Know. Yeah.
Very what do you think about that? That would be awesome. Do you think you could get one person?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I can too.
Yeah. Because I keep trying to explain that to people. They just don't, they don't view it the way we view it.
I'm actually curious how they would view it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did it with one clip one time, and they were jaw dropped, and they're like, what? This is allowed? And I'm like, yeah, man.
I have no doubt that you would bring someone very animated too.
Oh, yeah. You know it. I think that's brilliant.
All right. Have a good rest of your show. Thanks for letting me out. All right. See you later.
If Tony doesn't support you, you're doing something good, right? I'm in the group. The t-shirt girl posted that comment. All right, cool. The t-shirt girl. The one that said we'll bring tape, her. From group. Case was called. Order was extended. Judge said BHB is avoiding service. I have a screenshot if needed. If you could, Stacy, AT right above you just dropped if anybody wants to email it, she just dropped. Oh, in JLR's group, I can see his group. He hasn't kicked me. He may have taken away my top commenter badge, but he didn't kick me. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't even do that. All right, let's see. All your slander will come back to bite you. Wait for it. Great. Can't wait for it. Be on court papers and searchable. I'll wait to be served. You're such a scum. She's such a scum. Look at Betty here. All your slander will come back to bite you. Wait for it. Great. Can't wait for it to be on court papers and searchable. I'll wait to be served. Like, yeah, because you're avoiding service. Not funny. I cannot be there. I do have my Sebastian Rogers shirt on. Come on, law. Do the right thing and throw the book at the foots and socks. Y'all nutty. Betty is not going. She was not served. Get a life. Case was called. Order was extended. Judge said BHB is avoiding service. There it is, folks. The one that was driving to be there for 30 minutes. Case was called. Order was extended. So, Betty, you still have a protection order against you. A current one. You may be able to avoid being served, but you are aware that this order exists. So, good luck. Oh, sorry, everybody that just sent it to me. My email's going to be full of these screenshots now. Look at this. Hold on. I didn't even care if this was anonymous. That toggle forever getting stuck. I'm sure them showing up helped. These people are deranged. Yeah, Betty is deranged. Right. Why wouldn't you go? If you were adamant that you were innocent, you've done nothing wrong, why wouldn't you go face it head on? And just say, I'm innocent. Recap on Betty, please. She's a maniac. Maniac. That's all I got for you. Basically, Betty didn't show up today, so the judge extended the order, which means she has a current order of protection against her, okay? and they're going to extend it. So she'll likely have 10 more days to show up. You can't continue. First off, you know what I hope they do? I hope they blast it in the newspapers, and Betty's newspaper and Tennessee's newspapers. I hope they blast it through. They could even come on here on YouTube. They could go on Facebook and do it. Welcome, Damien. You can't avoid, if everybody just continues to avoid orders, like that doesn't stop you from being granted or found guilty. Hello, Nina. She wasn't properly served, right? But again, she was. I'm gonna she looks like an idiot talking to the news about it and not showing up. I agree. She says or does as a matter of public record. This way she can manipulate and change the narrative over time in this community to suit her needs. That's what she's known for. That is what she is known for. 3 orders extended. Oh, Betty, Betty, Betty. You can hide, but you can't escape it. Right. I mean, she acknowledged she was aware of it. I can't believe that's enough to be like, oh, well, she's avoiding service. This gives JLR time to prepare to show up at the courthouse. Honestly, I don't think he will. I think he's so disgusted by Betty, he doesn't want to be anywhere near her. Mary Mack, now that it is on the docket and the judge is fully aware that Betty is avoiding service, yeah, she can get in trouble for that. Absolutely. They don't like when you play games with them. I'm really confused because she can't say she wasn't aware. She literally said on YouTube and on the news that she was fully aware. And if they went through with it, she was going to sue them. Imagine. Whatever. If the courts go ahead and they grant this, right? Right now it's granted. It's extended. That they are protected by the law right now. They have it. They have this RO. But if it is granted for a long period of time, which would be a year, and then they have to go back and go back. If it is granted for a year, she was aware that the order, because if it went through, she was going to sue all of them. Right. If it is granted for the year and Betty tries to seek a civil lawsuit against them because of it, that is just harassment through the courts. Like, you can't do that. You're not going to get away with that. They're going to see it for what it is. You're seeking revenge on the fact that you were told to stay away. It's not going to happen.
No, there's no sightings. There's
There's
nothing. Just one poof. Things just don't make sense. I mean, we're talking about, first of all,
they did try to go to her home. Actually, in Tennessee, that can be a means of service. But they tried to go to her home 3 times in one day. Betty was on there laughing and mocking the fact that she's hiding from service. She literally told on herself, oh, I have a feeling they're not going to be able to serve me. Ha ha ha. Like, you're so smart. Self-snitching is at an all-time high. $31,000 behind child support. Judge allowed it. I don't know why these judges get a taxpayer-funded paycheck. They do nothing. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It is extremely hard to get child support. She'll get one from Chris. Certain amount of times they'll get her. They'll get her. They will get her. Absolutely. She's not going to get away with it. Right. They got to find me. They got to find me. Why don't you log off of YouTube and you go find you and consider why you're doing all these despicable things for attention?
About a male child that left his house with nothing. A teenager that left the house with nothing. No phone, no switch, possibly no shoes, no backpack. I mean, completely unprepared. That's
no money.
It's not how he leaves the house to go somewhere with me.
No money. Money's always on your mind, Tony. No money. Shut up. Nobody asked you to speak, Tony. Okay? No money. Possibly without shoes. That's never, what did he just say? It's never how he left the house with me.
A teenager that left the house with nothing. No phone, no switch, possibly no shoes, no backpack. I mean, completely unprepared. That's
no money.
It's not how he leaves the house to go somewhere with me.
That's not how he leaves the house to go somewhere with me. With me. It's not how he leaves the house to go somewhere with me. I just feel like that was a weird statement. I don't know. I felt that's a little weird.
I don't expect him to leave anywhere without his phone and way of communication in case something happens.
Well, of course.
It's just too much doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Seth Rogers, Tony Mathis, stand by, stay with us. When we come back, we have another question to ask tonight. Was Sebastian's mom the last person to see him?
One of my favorite supplements is quinol turmeric.
That's right. I forgot we don't have skip bats here. Dun dun. Dun dun dun. Workers' compensation lawyers. So judge won't let her get away with as much she as the other one. No, because you're blatantly disrespecting the judge by avoiding service. You can't do that. Can't do that. The judge don't play your games. They don't want that. These people look intimidating. I don't know if I want. I mean, are you intimidating me or trying to intimidate the other people? I'm not hiring you. You look scary. Get away. Challenge.
We were just trying to do whatever.
Is this another one?
The investigation. It has not gone to a place where anybody has forgotten about him or is not pursuing this. The parents have been cooperative throughout the beginning of the investigation.
That's a little weird too. Now listen, it's just the way they're phrasing it, right? Like, oh, they've been cooperative throughout the beginning. Now I get it, right? We can nitpick that in the way that it was phrased. It could mean they've been cooperative since the beginning or they were cooperative in the beginning. Depends on how. This is the most attention Betty has gotten. If there's one thing I can ask of all of you is to not even watch her. Don't even watch her. Wait for somebody else to restream her. Look at the clip channels. Don't give Betty the attention she so badly wants from being a fugitive of the law. Don't do it. Betty is a fugitive of the law.
They have pretty much done whatever law enforcement has asked of them.
That's TBI talking about the case of missing 15-year-old
Don't put Magnolia in
Sebastian
danger.
Rogers. So parents
Right.
are cooperating. Now, his situation, his parents.
Let me pause this really quick and answer this, Toe Beans. Why does he think being cleared is so important? He thinks if he is cleared, he can bring in Chris Maddonaho. Seriously, this is what he thinks. He thinks if he is cleared, that he will be able to bring in other agencies. That's what he thinks. I don't know. Well, I bring up bank statements. All donations went in other people's names. What a great point. What a great point.
Parents aren't together anymore. So his mom, he has a stepfather, and he has a dad. And they were all in the same area when all of this was happening, the same general area. But I want to.
They weren't, though. Chris wasn't in the state. Seth was 45 minutes away. They weren't.
Play you something, which was an interview that was done with Sebastian's mother, Katie Proudfoot. Her and her husband sat down with the YouTube channel Chronicles of Olivia, and she explained the last time that she saw Sebastian.
He said, all right, good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. Love you. And went to bed. He was doing something in his room because about an hour later I heard some noise and I was like, I don't care what you're doing in there, but go to sleep. And about midnight, I got up and I went to bed.
What I want to know is, did he respond? Did he respond to that? Did he say, okay, Mom, or, sorry, going to bed now? Why is Tony saying Seth passed Nancy's polygraph test? I thought Robin, Seth's mom, came out and said he didn't do good. He took 2 of them. Ellen Greenberg case out of Philly. That's back in the news. I haven't. Snazzy, thank you again. I think he wants to be clear so he can raise money to sponge off people's empathy while trashing Katie. Possibly.
And 6 o'clock, I went to wake him up for school Monday morning. And that's when he wasn't here.
So Sebastian went to bed. They're in the same house, different parts of the house. She heard a thud noise, but didn't go to see him. But what was going on with that alleged thud noise, and who was with him? Was there anyone with him at that moment? Or, bringing me to my next question, was Sebastian's mother the last person to see him?
Even if she was, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, there's been plenty of people that were last to see somebody. It doesn't mean they did something. It's under impression the second polygraph wasn't passed either. Allegedly, he passed one. Remember, Tony ended up messaging Nancy Grace's person and said, "You promised you would keep that out." And apparently, the only questions that were allowed to be asked on the polygraph were passed by Tony. To the bank statements, what concerns me is I don't understand the logic. All I can think is he's suggesting he didn't sell his kid. What else would one look for aside from a massive deposit? Well, he did have a massive deposit of nearly $50K.
Was she the last one? Was there someone else that came to the house that night? Or is there some other story? Our guests are still with us, Seth Rogers.
You know what my real opinion is right now at this point of time? My real opinion is that Chris and Seth work together, if anybody. I mean, I really think that Sebastian just left on his own that night. I really do believe that. But if I had to think there was something nefarious at play, I don't think Katie is the answer. And I know a lot of people think she is, but for some reason, I don't. I had a PO issued on my ex and he was never served. When he ultimately violated terms, I was told by police they could do nothing because he was never served. He was unaware of terms. Infuriating. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. The deposit was never in his name anyway.
Sebastian's father and Tony Mathis, the
I don't know,
family spokesperson.
I wish I knew.
Seth, from your perspective, I know you've listened to every potential piece of information that's been available in this case that's been made.
Why does Tony always look half asleep? It's like aggravating. It's like he has zero respect. I just, you know what I think Tony's biggest problem is? I think Tony thinks he's a star. Tony likely got this interview for Seth, right? Like he's the one, given he's the spokesman. He probably did all the, the footwork to get him on here. And he just really thinks like he's higher than he is. Like he has the nerve to be all slouchy and sludged over and not giving a shit and, half asleep and not really paying attention. He's very disrespectful. He did the same thing with Randy Harris in an interview. The same exact thing. He was so he even was spitting. He was spitting during an interview on national news. I don't think Sebastian was lured out of the house. I think he took off. Betty going down today. The courthouse said it'd be behind Chili's. Is that what you think? Oh, maybe. Being sex, yeah, exactly. Shady.
Shade available. To me, that thud noise, I've always thought about that, what that could have been if it happened, right?
Now, this is rich.
What are your thoughts about Sebastian's mom? Do you believe she's the last person to see
Good morning,
Sebastian
Monica.
before he disappeared?
Now, what he says here is so rich. This is, again, why I try not to speak about Seth so much anymore, because I really don't like the man. On a personal level, Seth is so triggering to me. I find him to be so... like he's just so he reminds me of bad experiences. Like I think he's an abuser. I think he's so many things. And I say that because of the way he speaks about Katie, the stuff that he put out about Sebastian Rogers, his own son, the information and the people he's aligned with and the people he's kicked away. And, I just don't find him to be a good human. But he is still a father grieving, right? So it's kind of, I have a moral conflict with myself.
I'd say yes. I mean, he was in her house. She's the one that put him to bed. She'd be the last person to have seen him.
What do you think about that thud noise?
I'm going to pause on the thud to answer you, Penny. So Penny says, why would they discuss not having a GoFundMe in the first few days? Apparently the police give them like a rundown, or they're supposed to, of like what to be expected if the media gets a hold of this, blah, blah, blah. And the police told them that it's never a good idea to have a GoFundMe. And then Seth set one up. I don't know if that's exactly how it transpired, but
that she described, the rustling that was going on. I thought about it. I've looked at the house. He's lit. His room is on the first floor, right? So his window is accessible from the outside.
are you awake, Tony? You blinking
It
fool.
would be, I believe, but I know law enforcement went around the house and stated that none of the windows or screens had been tampered with.
It's a beautiful house, but how could they not? Like, how can the police tell if somebody opened the screen and left the screen willingly? Can they tell that? Let's say Sebastian did open up the window, opened up the screen, went out of it, closed the window, and then closed the screen. Would the police be able to tell that that was done? Or do they mean nobody broke in? Is that what they mean? I don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, I happen to believe that's it. My main thing has always been Sebastian probably heard Katie and Chris on the phone that night. He knew Chris wanted him to go live with his father. He didn't want to go live with his father. Maybe he overheard Katie and Chris talking about it. He got upset and he ran out the house. That's unfortunately how I feel. It's a beautiful house, man.
So as for the
Wait.
I mean, windows or screens had been tampered with.
Is this just like a guest room or what?
So as for the thug, I mean, I don't know what she would classify as a thug. If I heard something in his room I know I'd go check on him.
If I heard something in his room, I know I'd go check on him, right? If you were home, Seth, because you're the one that told all of us you would leave him overnight while you worked your shifts. So how could you go and check on him if you're not even there? Open up to his mom at Texas Roadhouse. He didn't want to move in with Seth, and Katie told him he had to. That's a possibility too. We know they all spoke together. We know they all sat down together and discussed him going to live with Seth, and he was not happy about it. And Chris confronted Seth about that on a panel, and then Seth said, yeah, but then I spoke to him one-on-one, and he was fine with it. Have never been removed. They could tell if they were tampered with. Okay. It's all in the godmother's name. Sometimes up to 18 hours alone. Right, 14 hours a night. I mean, come on. You would go check on him? You wouldn't even be home.
Just because I want to make sure he's okay. I mean, he's got a medical condition that would definitely mean I need to go check on him just to make sure he's okay.
So his medical, okay, spare us, Seth. I guess you're not telling News Nation, right? You're not telling News Nation or, I'm sorry, Court TV, how you would leave him alone despite those medical conditions, how you would leave him alone overnight, how sometimes he would wake up and make you breakfast and coffee and wait in the driveway for you to come home. This is my biggest problem with him, is that he always tries to paint himself as the responsible parent, the present parent, the parent that actually cares, while Katie's absent and she doesn't actually care and Katie's no good. Well, because he didn't have him that weekend, just saying. I don't think anybody lost him. We're not talking about a toddler that ran out of sight. We're talking about a teenager that disappeared throughout the night. Nobody actually lost him, respectfully. But it could happen to anybody. It could happen to me. It could happen to you. It could happen to any of us. I don't think Katie lost him. I seen that one. All right, all the screenshots. Thank you guys. Hold on.
And have you spoken with his mom about that night at all? Have you had any sort of conversation, either just the two of you or with other people there?
No.
Have not had a conversation with her just alone, and probably won't.
And probably won't. And I wish Vinnie would have said at this point, why not? Yeah, but Ren, I mean, respectfully, don't you think there's a difference leaving somebody alone from 3 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon as opposed to leave them overnight alone? Like my kids, again, are, you know, of a age where they're self-sufficient, right? They can be alone. And if I was to leave my son at 12 years old alone after school for 2 hours, you know, he'd be okay. It's daylight, there's people around, you know, but there's a huge difference if I was then to say, okay, I'm going to leave you throughout the night alone. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference in the two. Anyway, of course, Katie does want to speak to him alone. Are you going to tell them why, though? He's 15-year-old. Yes, he has autism, but he's high functioning. Right. He wasn't even diagnosed until last year. I'd be uncomfortable too.
Why is that?
Because every time I want to speak to her, I'm going to have to speak to Chris.
Right. But why is that? Now, further elaborate. Why is that? Why is it that every time you have to speak to her, you have to speak to Chris? Is it because you are abusive? Is it because you make her very uncomfortable? Is it because you continue to abuse her through the likes of people like Betty? I did see it, Miss L, where JLR wrote that Seth Rogers is the P word, period. Yeah, I seen that. Wow. I said it before. I ran away 14 cross country to Vegas for 3 months. Had a wonderful family. I was just ornery. It does happen. Wow. Hey, Cautious Gems. Crimes under investigation. Hello. Believe he was actually staying with the neighbor who moved back to Kelly. Because Chris is the boss? I don't think it's because Chris is the boss. I think it's because Seth Rogers really makes Katie uncomfortable. And I can see why. I mean, gosh, the way he came out here swinging on Katie, pointing out all her personal and private business and belittling her. And, you know, again, whether we like Katie or not, whether you think Katie's guilty or not, put yourself in her shoes. Put yourself in her shoes. How would you feel? He knows her actions. Could be, Robin. Could be. Could be. But I don't think so. I think Seth was called out much more lies than Katie's ever been called in. From us, the public. But Katie let him go knowing Seth worked nice, so both could be blamed. Absolutely agree, oddball. That has not escaped me. I agree with you there. I'm curious, when his alimony from Katie stopped? Because Chris is her husband? This is what inspired me with Seth. Seth has said he could leave Sebastian alone for 16 hours sometimes. Sebastian would make his own food and go to the neighbor's house on his own. Wants to control everything involving Katie. Yeah. If my ex was putting shit out about me, I would be the same. I don't think any of us would like it on such a national level.
Chris wasn't there. I don't know why he needs to be involved in the conversation about what happened that night.
Oh. So Chris wasn't there. Once again, he is so jealous of Chris. It's unbelievable. Like, you can't put your little petty differences aside for the search of your son. He could be more active after school than bedtime, more like on video. I thought it odd myself, though. Yeah, I just think there's a huge difference. He got alimony. Why was he homeless? Katie paid alimony to Seth, not the other way around. Right. I think he wanted answers. He would meet with them both. That's what I'm saying. Put the pettiness aside. You're still that envious of Chris that you can't even sit down and work together to help find your child? Then when stuff started being questioned, she stopped talking. Well, that's not really how that happened, Robin. That's not how that happened. It was Seth. Seth wasn't asking questions. Seth's story changed every single day with it. It was Seth starting the GoFundMe that caused the argument because the police already told them it's not a good idea. And think about it. Why did Seth need a GoFundMe at that point in time? Why, after 3 days of Sebastian disappearing, was Seth Rogers need a GoFundMe? You can't tell me that when it caused an argument between you and somebody else? Like, 2 kids were taken missing at the age of 6 months, and my son was 2 years. Took me nearly 7 months to find them. Unless you have, holy shit, crimes under investigation. If you'd ever be willing to share about that, I'd absolutely love to hear. Wow, that's insane. I'm glad you found them. I couldn't even imagine what you went through. That's a fair enough question. What are they doing to find their son? I know that they aren't out here on panels, so we're not really hearing much of what they're doing. But they did put in towards billboards. No, they're not doing any news appearances or interviews. We don't know if they're searching. I mean, Seth claims that he's still searching. We don't see him searching. Right? So Seth even told us the police are still searching. We don't see them searching. Not everything needs to be advertised to mean it's happening. Like, if you don't see me brushing my teeth, does that mean I didn't brush my teeth? You know what I mean? Come on.
And if he was on a phone call, then maybe he can tell us what the thud was.
How about the rest of the day leading up to the point that Sebastian got home? Who was the last person other than his mom to see him? And have you spoken with that person?
No, I guess the last person to see him besides his mom would be, the waitress at at Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, but Mystic Firefly, it's been years. It's been years. And actually, I could argue, right? So Mystic says, has your partner ever cheated on you? What do you feel towards the person your partner cheated with? Would you want to see them interfering and trying to control your family? It's been 8 fucking years. Hey, Christina. Is that why Sebastian just up and disappeared on the 8th year anniversary of their divorce? Is he still that angry? Is he still that spiteful? Is he still that revengeful? Who knows? So what you wrote could go to clarify why the date is so important. This is very recent, Life's a Dance. Yes, this was just the other day. I mean, and then, right, how do we even know they cheated? But then you have the factor that before all of this, they co-parented perfectly. Seth said he always spoke to Chris. Chris always spoke to Seth. That's how they did their arrangements. Seth referred to Chris as dad, as Sebastian's dad. You know what I mean? So why now is this such a problem? Why now? There are many other kids to give attention to. Is that person running your kids' lives now? Then he should have fought for more time to see his son. I just, what? I completely don't understand. I disagree with everything you're saying, actually. That's a little crazy. Are we still, well, if you don't want him to be the man of your son's life, first off, you don't have a choice. Grow up, get some therapy or something, move the fuck along. It's been 8 years. You don't get to be like, oh, my ex-wife's not allowed to move on because I'm still resentful. You need therapy. I mean, come on, Mystic. That would require therapy. That's a you problem. You can't place that and justify his anger today based off what happened 8 years ago. That's insanity. Go get help then.
And Tony, as
right.
we try to track and figure out who interacted
Probably
with Sebastian,
minor.
where he could have gone, how this could have happened. From your perspective, what is the what are the lingering questions that you see in this case as well?
Is Tony's eyes even open? I mean, honest to God, Tony, are you even awake, sir? Ugh. Maybe if you sat up properly, you wouldn't be falling asleep in your chair. Wake up. Yes, Mia? How can I help you? So many people pretend to know this family. None of us were there. Blue Bunker, they're all shady. They're all shady as hell. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. They're all shady as hell. They all need, something's going on. I don't think we'll ever get the answers. I think we will get the answers one day. And we will never. Are you my friend? Are we locked in? My kids get so annoyed with me. They're like, it's old. It's old. I don't care. That's my shit. Leave me alone. Instead, that's my.
Well, if you're talking about that situation specifically, Vinnie, I mean, clearly she was the last person that was seen with him. There has been no evidence that he ever left the house on his own.
There's no evidence he ever left the house on his own. How come Tony says different things? Who remembers Tony being on TikTok and saying, oh, if you let a child go out, they don't have to sneak out, implying he snuck out. But now stitching with the sisterlies, now he's saying, oh, there's no proof he left on his own. Okay, but there's no proof of foul play either. So how does this work? Literally, how does this work? At what point do you think the police are doing a criminal investigation right now? Do you think enough time has passed? If there's no proof, hey, Michelle, it's good to see you. If there's no proof at all that this child left on his own will or even left at all, then this would be criminal, wouldn't it? It's something so bizarre here. I can't even put my finger on it. I don't know. This is so odd. If ran away, the dogs would pick up a scent. The dogs did pick up a scent. They just lost the scent. Could that happen as well?
So in my mind, what would be the opposite of him leaving the house on his own? It would be leaving the house with somebody.
You're so smart. Sorry, let me stop being petty with them, but speak up. You should be mad of anyone, but she just doesn't care. Source me. When you know, you know. I've been there. I don't even know what you're saying, if I'm being completely honest, but kind of feel you. What is he doing, JJ? What is he doing? Can you just sit up?
Well, the only somebody, admittingly, by Katie that was in that house was her. So clearly we have some questions there. But
do you have some questions there, Tony? I bet you can't ask the police that you keep disrespecting.
Be leaving the house with somebody. Well, the only somebody, admittingly, by Katie that was in that house was her. So clearly we have some questions there. But my bigger question as Seth's spokesperson, and where I would ask Court TV to give us some assistance is, we have.
So listen closely here. Listen how he slides this in, and listen, watch how the whole environment changes.
But my bigger question as Seth's spokesperson.
So his bigger question as Seth's spokesperson, right? So we're going to get a question here. Let's listen for it. Let's see if we can offer an answer.
And where I would ask Court TV to give us some assistance is.
So we're asking for your assistance with this shit. Listen, I know I have a crappy mic sometimes, but holy crap, your mic is horrible.
We have video evidence that shows that Seth was at work. We've had all of his electronic devices that have been seized and dumped. We'd like to know why Seth still hasn't been cleared, or what they might need from Seth and or myself to get him cleared.
Why hasn't he been cleared? Right? That's the big question. That's the big question. Why hasn't he been cleared? We have video evidence. He was at work. He had all his devices seized and dumped. He still hasn't gotten them back. Why hasn't he been cleared? All right, Vinny.
So they have not cleared. I didn't realize that.
He starts stuttering. So they have not cleared. What?
I just didn't realize that was the situation.
Vinny's looking at his producers right now like WTF. He is looking at the producers right now like, did you guys know this? Did you know he has not been cleared?
So
not at all.
So my guess is if they haven't cleared him, that may explain some of the lack of communication.
Duh. Look at it all coming together like a Scooby-Doo moment. Look at Vinny's like, are you guys serious? You don't know why the police aren't speaking to you? You're a suspect. Hello. Look at Vinny's face. Look how he said it.
So my guess is if they haven't cleared him, that may explain some of the lack of communication that is going back and forth in this case.
He's looking over at the producers again. He's like, you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me. Oh, well, Vinny's not watching little dumb YouTube channels, with utmost respect. Look at him. He even looked over at his producers again and is like, why did you put me in this predicament? What am I supposed to do now?
Some of the lack of communication that is going back and forth in this case.
Good.
He wipes the sweat off his head like, oh, Tony's like, foot in mouth. I shouldn't have said it.
Possibility. But what more do you want from me? I was at work. I was video camera.
Tony over there. Correct. zombie delayed.
From 6 p.m. till after 7 a.m. the next morning. You know,
that's normally the time frame you left Sebastian alone for, right? Usually, you know, until Katie tells us, Tiffany. I think if you write that 7 more times in chat, you might really feel it to be true. Just write it again. See if it works for you this time.
My son should be with me right now.
But he wouldn't be with you right now.
He should be in this house, and I should not be looking for him.
He was rarely in your house, with utmost respect. I mean, we're talking about a guy who would see him maybe 4 times out of an entire month. You know, in his words, his autistic child. Maybe that's what I'm seeing with Seth. Maybe I'm seeing a father that realizes he should have done more. Maybe that's the issue at hand. Maybe Seth realizes, hey, I wasted valuable time. I wasn't there enough. I wasn't present enough. I should have did less movies and less video games and more one-on-one time. You know, I just didn't do enough. Maybe that's the guilt that I feel coming off of him. Maybe that's the guilt. One more time, Tiffany. One more time. Until Katie Proudfoot produced the Sebastian, nobody is cleared. Well, if that was the case, then she... okay, sure. Maybe.
Tell me where I don't gain anything from this.
What a bizarre comment to make. Tell me where I... Listen to that again. Now they're like, we're going to put you on the full screen, suspect.
Tell me where I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny.
Tony, if you can barely stay awake, I'm sorry. Look at him over there blinking. Who blinks that much? We used to say JLR didn't blink enough, and now we got this guy blinking too much. Look at the blinky blinkster over there. He's like, are you trying to stay awake? Are you trying to stay awake? What are you doing? Let's hear that again.
I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny.
I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny. That alone is a bizarre comment, isn't it? I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny. That's your response to what? This is bizarre. It's a bizarre statement.
Tell me where I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny. You know, the fact is I'm looking for my son. He's not.
If there was ever a way to sound more suspect, it is right here. Right here. So let's rewind it back. So at this point, Vinnie just found out that Seth Rogers is still a suspect. He's kind of like looking at his producers like, well, look at the face right here. This says it all. That right there is a face that says it all. Okay? So this is how this whole conversation comes to be. I'm telling you, it's bizarre comment.
Going back and forth in this case.
Let's listen to it. Well, did anybody find it to be funny?
But what more do you...
Did anybody find it to be funny? Why would he even consider it to be funny? Like, why would that even come out of his thought process? First off, why is he mentioning not gaining anything? Was there something to be gained? Were you meant to gain something? Are you actually gaining something? Are you internally telling on yourself at this moment? And who would ever even think it would be funny? Why did the thought of this isn't funny even come through his mind? Is there anything about the disappearance of a child ever even remotely funny? Or did he find it to be funny? The FBI didn't give him a lie detector test. Where are you getting your information from? He got it from Nancy fucking Grace. You know what Nancy Grace is? A reality TV show. Nancy Grace is an actress. He didn't get it from the FBI. If he got it from the FBI, he'd be cleared, wouldn't he? If they for sure knew that he was without a doubt at work and he passed a lie detector test through the FBI, he wouldn't be a suspect. He's admittedly telling you himself he's a suspect. But it's not funny.
One for me, I was at work. I was video camera from 6 p.m. till after 7 a.m. the next morning.
Well, that's convenient.
You know, my son should be with me right now. He should be in this house, and I should not be looking for him.
He always does this hallmarky shit, right? Every time he's like kind of caught on the spot is some hallmarky comment. We pointed this out from the beginning. Here comes his hallmarky comment.
Tell me where I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny. You know, the fact.
Who's the one that's made funnies out of this? The man that has gained attention on social media, right? The man that has gained attention on social media, who has sat up there making big jokes and funnies and ha-ha and he and, oh, one time I spit on a man's pizza and I put it on the ground so it got all the ground oil and I served it to him. He said, this is the best pizza ever. Sitting up there pretending to be sexually inappropriate. Let's just, oh no, another appropriate way to say the most inappropriate thing a missing child has ever, a father of missing child has ever done on this platform. And say, don't. Oh, and believe me, I call Dolly out for them too. But Dolly's not the father. Dolly's not the father. And not for nothing, but Seth found Dolly's jokes to be very hysterical when he was all pro Seth, right? When Seth's up there making a joke about, you're just not asking the right questions, Dolly. It was all a game. It's been a game from the jump. It's been nothing but funny for him from the very beginning. And now, out of nowhere, comes out of his mind, it's not funny. Okay, Robin, but I'm speaking about Seth, okay? Maybe I'll get Chris tomorrow, but today's about Seth because Seth's on the screen, not Chris. Why does that have to be a whataboutism? Why can't you just acknowledge everything I just said about Seth is factual and inappropriate? And he's the one right now saying, what do I have to gain? What do I have to gain? It's not funny. Well, who made it funny? Who had anything to gain? Why would that be your thought process? That's what Tony said. He's on Seth's team. It's a game, right? And he's boss Seth, and this is the Seth show. And we do whatever Seth wants. You all saw those text messages he sent to Trevor Lee about, oh, Seth's the boss. I do what Seth tells me to do. He's the boss man. Because, a great question. Seth Rogers, why can't it be about Sebastian? Great question, Robert Brown. I really like that. Thank you. What a great question. Why can't it be about Sebastian, Seth Rogers? This is such a weird statement.
This is not funny. The fact is I'm looking for my son. He's not here. Y'all took my electronics. What more do you want? Do they need my bank records?
Y'all took my electronics. What more do you want? You took my electronics. You took my little Switch. You can't even play my video games. What more do you want from me? You want my bank statements? What good would that do? You put everything in everybody else's name. What good would that do? We're going to find anything there. You hid all the income you made off of this, didn't you? Am I what? Bonkers, babe? No. Sometimes, actually. I'm actually going to start my monthly, so I may not be very terrible cramps going on right now. I'm not going to hold you. Thank you for asking.
You can have them. I don't understand what I have to do to get cleared.
We're willing to do anything to get it cleared, Vinnie.
Go ahead, Tony.
Don't interrupt him, Tony. He was speaking. He speaks fine on his own. He did better without you.
There are reasons.
Vulture.
Yeah, we're willing to do anything.
What do I have to gain? Do you want my bank statements? Well, maybe they should ask for them now because that was weird. All right, what was that he just added?
Vinnie.
Go ahead, Tony.
There are reasons.
Oh, look at that. Vinnie thought he was going to say, go ahead. Go ahead, Seth. But instead he said, go ahead, Tony, because that's your spokesman. He should be speaking now. I think he did get a new gaming system and a motorcycle and a girlfriend that he gave $12K to. But hey, what do we know? Mystic, you're going to have to stop coming in and being so damn disrespectful, okay? I'm been very patient with you. But please, don't go at other creators in my chat. To take that somewhere else. Nobody. He was alone in his bedroom as far as I know. Unless the police have said otherwise. Do you know otherwise? I think they're all guilty. I think they all know something. I think they're withholding it from all of us.
Yeah, we're willing to do anything to work with them to get him cleared because it does allow us to bring in more resources once he's clear.
What resources?
And, if they...
What resources? You got all the money in the world for resources. What resources?
if the video evidence, the phone data, and whatever else they may need isn't enough, then we'd simply like us to tell them, why is it that he hasn't been cleared? He did a polygraph test with a well-known FBI polygrapher that Nancy Grace set up, and he passed that with flying colors.
Through Nancy Grace, and he passed out flying colors after they woke him up from nodding out the first time. Okay, let's not forget that important part. Banking, talking about your missing son, the same sentence, and then saying it's not funny. Did anybody find it funny? Was there any funnies to be had? It's just a bizarre statement, but check this out, right? Tony's going to go on and on. He's finally awake. He wants Court TV to help him clear Seth Rogers. They got Bullhorn Betty going out to protest the police station, right? Listen, the nasty being said, with utmost respect, has nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance. It has to do with Seth Rogers' behavior. We can judge Seth Rogers' behavior without finding him to be guilty of his son's disappearance, with the utmost respect. I have maintained from the beginning, I think Sebastian ran out on his own. Due to the failures of all three parents, I think it was way too much, and he ran out. He got overwhelmed, and he ran out the home. That's what I think happened. I don't think Seth did it. But I do think Seth's behaviors since his disappearance have been nothing short of despicable. And that's just my opinion. It's been very inappropriate. They're all acting a little shady. They've all done things that made us uncomfortable. But the fact being, Seth seeks it out. He does. He continuously seeks it out.
We're out of time, unfortunately. Tony, I'm sorry I have to cut.
Phone data and whatever else they may need isn't enough, then we.
Let's go back to when Vinnie found out he's still a suspect, right? And watch how this transpires from here out.
I'm looking for my son. He's not here. Y'all took my electronics. What more do you want? I mean, do they need my banker records? I mean, you can have.
Wait, I lied to you. What did he say? My banker records?
Here, y'all took my electronics. What more do you want? I mean, do they need my banker records? I mean, you can have them. I mean, I don't understand what I have to do to get cleared.
We're willing to do anything to get cleared, Vinnie.
Go ahead, Tony.
There are
Me too. Tony being the biggest one.
Yeah, we're willing to do anything to work with them to get him cleared, because it does allow us to bring in more resources once he's clear. And if the video evidence, the phone data, and whatever else they may need isn't enough, then we'd simply like us to tell them, why is it that he hasn't.
Can I remind you all that when Vinnie started this, he said we have the father of Seth Rogers here to talk about Sebastian Rogers. We have the father here to speak about Sebastian Rogers. What did this turn into? What it always turns into. The Seth Rogers pity me show. The woe is me. What resources do they gain? I would love to know. They said something about Chris Madonna, whatever his name is.
Cleared. He did a polygraph test with a well-known FBI polygrapher that Nancy Grace set up, and he passed that with flying colors. So,
we're out of time, unfortunately. Tony, I'm sorry I have to cut you off there. We're out of time, but thank you both for joining us. We'll still look for those answers as the investigation continues.
They shut him down, didn't they? Turned to a circus, turned into a circus. Shame. The sheer fact that Tony is the spokesperson, yes, Seth is speaking. Why is Tony the spokesperson? Yeah, you can tell it made Vinnie so uncomfortable. Actually,
my son should be with me.
I just didn't realize
that still hasn't been cleared,
right here.
Or what they might need
Watch
from
how the
Seth
whole tune changes.
or myself to get him cleared.
So they have not cleared. I didn't realize that. I just didn't realize that was the situation. So
not at all.
So my guess is if they haven't cleared him, that may explain some of the lack of communication that is going back and forth in this case.
Good possibility. But what more do you want from
Correct.
me? I was at work. I was video camera from 6 p.m. till after 7 a.m. the next morning. You know, my son should be with me right now. He should be in this house, and I should not be looking for him. Tell me where I don't gain anything from this. This is not funny. You know, the fact is I'm looking for my son. He's not here. Y'all took my electronics. What more do you want? I mean, do they need my bank records?
Honest question here. Do you think News Nation, or I keep saying News Nation, do you think Court TV is happy with them disparaging the police right now? With them disparaging the way the police have to do their job? With them disparaging the fact that Seth Rogers isn't cleared and can't be cleared and won't be cleared until there is an answer to where Sebastian is? With the Vinnie flipped because this whole thing could be used against Seth. Nancy Grace would never question someone that has not been cleared. Right, he had no idea that he wasn't cleared. And then you're asking Court TV to help you? You want Court TV to help you?
I mean, you can have them. I mean, I don't understand what I have to do to get cleared.
We're willing to do anything to get it cleared, Vinnie.
Go ahead, Tony.
There are resources.
Yeah, we're willing to do anything to work with them to get him cleared, because it does allow us to bring in more resources once he's clear.
And all Vinnie has going through his head right now is you are a suspect. This is a suspect. He's a suspect. We just entertained a suspect. This suspect came on here and told us he has his own tip line.
And, you know, if the video evidence, the phone data, and whatever else they may need isn't enough, then we'd simply like us to tell them, you know, why is it that he hasn't been cleared? He did a polygraph test with a well-known FBI polygrapher that Nancy Grace set up, and he passed that with flying colors. So, you know,
we're out of time, unfortunately. Tony, I'm sorry I have to cut you off there. We're out of time, but thank you both for joining us. We'll still look for those answers as the investigation continues.
Bye, suspects. Hello.
Peekaboo.
Ah!
You probably didn't think I still had the link, huh?
I actually, when I heard the beep, I'm like, who the hell went all the way back and found that link?
You're like, am I going to see a peen?
I did check your name, too, because I'm like, could it really be her?
Hey, go back in that video to where Seth talks about being on camera.
Where did he? Where was that? And where did he mention about going fishing in the middle of the night?
When he says he never left the house
like
that with me, we would go fishing in the middle of the night, blah blah blah.
Okay, so that brings to my thought being, let's say, and he said like well, all right, so I go fishing, right? You go crabbing in the middle of the night, you go fishing, whatever. You don't wear your good shoes. Could it be a possibility that hey, I'm going to take you fishing, buddy. Be ready. You know, don't bring your new good shoes, because we all heard he just got new good shoes. Don't bring them. Just come out, and that could be the answer. Something so damn. I mean, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that adds a whole new perspective. Like, I thought Sebastian never left the house in the middle of the night, but here we're hearing he would get up to go fishing.
And that's weird, because he also said that when he had Sebastian, if Sebastian didn't remember about the fishing trip, that they wouldn't go, remember?
Oh, no,
he's like, oh, we get up in the morning. He's like, you know, he has no concept of time. And it would be, you know, afternoon. And he'd be like, Dad, I thought we were going fishing. And he says, oh, we were supposed to do that this morning, buddy. You know, it was almost like, oh, you didn't remember? Oh, we're not going. I don't remember which interview that was. There's been so damn many.
Wow.
But if you go back to that spot where he talks about being on camera from, I think he says 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. the next day.
After 7, yeah.
And I'm sure I'm going to get torn apart for this. Because I'm not a Seth fan. But he's like shaking his head no, as he's saying, I was on camera from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. the next day. He's like, he's shaking his head no. And it's just odd to me. I'm not a behavior specialist.
I wish we could
But-
get a behavioral specialist on this.
I know. Well, I don't want to say that, but the behavior panel did Chris and Katie, but you know, everybody's tiptoeing around Seth. You know,
Yeah, because they deemed him the hero.
and
he's on the pedestal.
And the same as Vinnie. And that's why I think Vinnie doesn't know. I guarantee you the behavior panel has no idea that Seth Rogers hasn't been cleared. Because the focus has never been on him. And I bet you Vinnie didn't know.
You're right.
I
You're
really
right.
don't think that these bigger, you know, entities are paying attention to every little detail.
No,
Seth-
there's no way they're paying attention to all these little small panels he's on and the inappropriate jokes.
No, and he's done the short clips on the news, which have been, you know, the Eeyore.
Yeah, the woe is me.
Yeah.
Some hallmarky sentence and followed by woe is me.
Right, right. So I just think that that's the perception that maybe Vinnie had too.
That's why he was shocked. Vinnie was shocked when he heard that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's play where he says about the time.
7 a.m. the next morning, you know,
Yes.
good possibility. But what more do you want from me? I was at work. I was video camera from 6 p.m. till after 7 a.m. the next morning, you know.
Am I reading into it?
My son.
I can't tell.
Yeah, maybe I am. Because I am not a fan, so I'm not trying to be mean, but
I know we do see things in like biased ways for
we
sure.
do, and we see a lot more of him than we do anybody else, so it's really easy to fall into that. So if I'm overreacting on it, I want to know, because I don't want to do that.
Let's play it again and see what everybody thinks.
Yeah, maybe do a
6
poll.
p.m. till after 7 a.m. the next morning. You know?
I mean, I do see what you're saying. He is kind of looking down. He's kind of like
He's looking down, blinking a lot, like
yeah.
But then he looks up after he says it and looks directly into the camera.
You're
it's
right.
just a little sus.
I feel like that's his woe is me thing, though. I feel like this is what he does. He tries to put him like he becomes like this little flower in person, this little sad soul, you know?
Yeah, it's very Eeyore-ish.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yep. Very early on, that's what I said. He is an Eeyore. And I can't
Nothing ever goes his way. He's one of those people that nothing's ever good enough, right?
Everything's everybody else's fault.
Like Chris got him the job, right? At the thing. And then he was like, I can't do it. It's hard.
It's too much work.
Yeah, he had to be told, you know, pull up your big boy pants and get your ass there.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's always nothing's good. I can't.
Or
instead of being excited about it, you know, and being, you know, positive, like I got this. He's more of he goes to the negative side of things.
Right. And he did the same thing with like, it took Sebastian a year to learn how to write an S at school because the school sucks in California. And the therapist wasn't the right therapist. And that detective came to my door and like everything is always not his fault. Everything.
Yes, and everything goes wrong. If it can go wrong, it will.
That is exactly how, and that's why it upsets me because every time he is offered this great opportunity to share and spread some awareness on Sebastian, it always goes back to woe is Seth every single time without fail.
Yep.
How did this end? Oh, poor Seth is still a suspect. I mean, what did we walk away knowing about Sebastian? Not much, because the focus was on Seth being cleared.
Yeah, and then right after this, he says there are reasons. Like, I don't know if he's just saying that because he realized that Vinnie is not aware of this and is, you know, reacting, you know, is he picking up on Vinnie's body language to say, well, there's reasons.
Right.
So I don't really know how to take the reasons thing if he's trying to throw something out there or if that was just like, oh, well, Vinnie's not really cool with this, that I'm not cleared, but I want to let him know, hey, there's reasons for that.
Right. And then he got interrupted. So we don't know what he was going to say further.
Exactly.
Chris has come forward and said he did not get Seth the job. When was this? Or where was this, Feisty? I missed that. It's hard to keep along because, I mean.
Wow, I thought Chris said it himself. I could have sworn. I could have sworn I heard Chris telling that story because usually I don't take secondhand information about these people that serious.
I wouldn't even doubt that, okay, ministry. I wouldn't even doubt that he would lie about it because he does lie about a lot. Seth has been caught in many lies.
I think he should have been positive about getting a new job that was going to get him on his feet. Yeah. I don't think he should have been whining and complaining. That's not a man. I mean, not in my eyes, anyways. Oh, I can't do it. And has to have another man, worse off, his ex-wife's husband, tell him to pull his big boy pants up and go to work.
Well, and not only that, but then him being like, I haven't talked to Katie and I probably won't. Why? Because Chris always has to be. Well, what you can't just put differences aside and have a conversation for the hopes of getting answers that you so desperately want and need to hopefully find your son. Like, you can't be mature enough to just do that.
Right.
That's weird.
I'm telling you, I don't think Katie wants him around her.
Of course not. Of course not. And in order to be around her, Chris is going to be there. And for that reason alone, Seth won't speak. Well, that's weird. That's weird. I'd meet with my worst enemy if it came to finding some sort of answers that hopefully find my child. I wouldn't give a shit. So no court. Nope. Was next door granddaughter. Huh?
Oh, Lucia was next door with granddaughter. She missed it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, they extended the protection order. So Katie and the Bauer Sox still have a protection order against Betty, but the judge acknowledged that she is a void and being served.
But you know what? You had a really good point when you said, they're there to raise awareness for Sebastian. Yeah, and that's exactly what Vinnie stated. We are advocates, we investigate these cases. And then here's Tony coming in with, the sucker punch. Oh, well, how Court TV's assistants put him on the spot live, dude. Like,
to go against police, to go against the investigation. Who does that?
And you know that Tony was in contact with the producer beforehand. He could have definitely, said, we want to talk about this. Mm-hmm. We need y'all's assistance with this. Is this something you can help us with? Nope. Because he knew it wasn't appropriate.
It was highly inappropriate. You think Court TV is ever going to interfere or interject themselves? First off, you're asking a huge favor to even ask them to get involved on a personal level and put their reputation on the line to go ahead and ask police to clear a suspect. I mean, how delusional do you have to be?
Horrible optics. I mean, if you're on Court TV begging to, and Tony says, we'll do anything to get Seth cleared. Everything that Tony does makes Seth look worse. I can't help but think that Seth is completely being hosed.
Yep.
I don't think that he has, a spine. And I think he signed an agreement that he stated he did sign a legal agreement with Tony, an engagement letter.
Oh, God.
So I think he must be somehow stuck in that. He signed this engagement letter, he stated, 2 weeks before Tony even came on the scene. So they were working on him behind the scenes.
In his most vulnerable state.
Yep. And got him to sign this agreement. And I looked up engagement letter and it is a legal agreement. Like, it can hold up as a legal agreement.
Well, what's the benefit for Tony?
What was in that agreement?
Right. What would the benefit for Tony be?
I don't know.
I can't stand Tony one bit, man. I think he's just so shisty. And the fact that Tony comes along and suddenly all these great people with great assets to help Seth in the proper and professional way are told to never speak about Seth or Sebastian again.
I mean, what is Tony's MO? If it's not money, does he just want to be in the spotlight? Is that has that been a goal of his to just be known?
You know what I think his goal has always been? His goal was to always be a true crime sleuther, right? Because we saw him on his Facebook. He did the Idaho 4 house. He tried making this fancy video. He was taking, fanboying over Court TV and News Nation reporters being there. Mm-hmm. We seen him reach out to other parents with missing children, trying to get his foot in the door. And I think when he sought the opportunity through his coworker, Randy, and the unfortunate situation that took place with Randy's son, that was his foot in the door. And he thought, oh, I'll label myself, a spokesperson. And the minute he saw that Sebastian's case was getting more attention, sadly, at that moment, than Caleb's, he dished Randy Harris. Well, Randy actually dished him and said, well, you're kind of embarrassing me here, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think possibly that he has a long-term goal. Hear me out on this one. Let me know what you think. That he wants to set up some kind of a foundation like the Petitos have.
He did say so. They said they wanted to start a 50c3.
Okay, because when you have a nonprofit, right? Like we've heard about, the Cancer Foundation, all these foundations that pay their CEOs, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in salaries. Even though they're a nonprofit, it doesn't mean no one's getting paid. So could that be his end goal? Was he trying to build up this, reputation in this community, thought he was going to be accepted, thought that he could start this nonprofit, organization, possibly with Caleb, get a couple, cases under his belt. Seth was easy prey. It was right, Riley strain was happening. Who knows what else he tried to get his nose in? He got caught in some Morris Facebook group saying, have the parents reach out to me.
Yeah.
I feel like he's just trying to gather as many families of missing people as he can, start a foundation, and say he's helping them.
I wouldn't even doubt it. He's a salesman. He sold himself to these grieving parents. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he reached out to the Gonsalves family, as outspoken as they were, to say, hey, I'll be your spokesperson. But you know what? Thank God they already had Shannon Gray, because Shannon Gray would be like, who is this clown? You know what I mean? So I think he might have tried to get his claws into them.
And then Tony's using his spokesperson, badge to get into these court TVs and New Nation and Jennifer Coffendoffer and all these people.
Yeah. And he name drops them like she's my friend.
Maybe this is like they want to reenact the heels on the ground type of thing again. And Betty's like, oh, I get a second chance.
And I really do feel, I know a lot of people don't like Jennifer Coffendoffer for whatever reason. She gets tons of hate. But in her defense,
she doesn't do a lot of research.
She's on Twitter, which is a weird realm for me. I'm not comfortable in the Twitter missing persons realm. It's a little nuts for me over there. But and that's where she gets the majority of her info. And it's different than
it's
YouTube.
Like TikTok.
Yeah, it's just a different world. But I think her bringing that lawyer on and the things that he said about Seth and the YouTube, I think those are things that she didn't want to say publicly because she wants to continue doing interviews. Like, she's not one of those people to put people on the spot. She never has been. So I think she kind of brought him in knowing what his
perspective would be.
Yes. And
he would say the things that she wanted. Right.
Absolutely. And people do that all the time. I mean, look at the news every night. They'll bring an expert on, because you know what? If she would have said it, they would say, you're not a lawyer. Who are you to say that? Can't argue with the lawyer she brought on. I mean, you can, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just
right.
Like them bringing
he has more
experts.
Perspective. I think it's all very interesting. I think the more Seth speaks, the more it solidifies people's thoughts about him. I know a lot of people still say Katie has all the answers, but for me, I don't. I think the answers could be found between Seth and Chris. What's this sudden? Not only with just him. All right, so I noticed this sudden anger. Right, Seth and Chris came out here, and Chris was also dad, and they co-parented greatly, and their communication has always been those two. It was never Seth with Katie, and all of a sudden they're so angry at each other they can't even communicate together. Right. Why? Are they trying to put a distance between them? Do those two know something that Katie doesn't know? I mean, after all, it's not funny, right? There's nothing to be gained. It's all just weird behavior. Something's odd about it. But you know what else I find odd? And I might as well just say it. I find it odd that Seth says he has a private PI that's doing private investigative work. How many times now have we heard Terry Lynn distance herself from Seth Rogers, but then she goes to these other places where she defends him? It's very bizarre. I think there's a lot of little secret handshakes taking place behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a little network, I think.
I think so too. Network's the perfect way to say it. An underground network of, don't look here, public distraction to say oh no.
Yeah, and some of them have been so transparent we've figured them out, and there's probably ones that we haven't.
Right.
I mean, maybe the ones that have gone silent, radio silent.
See, Kirsten thinks that Tony's been better for Seth. I don't think so. If he was better for him, he would have never sat on the panel or allowed him on the panel with Taco where he pretended.
What?
You know what I mean? I completely disagree.
Tony stopping Seth from running his mouth. He stood there and told Trevor Lee to F off right with Tony next to him holding the phone, videoing him.
Yeah, that's right. Tony actually, yes, Tony was holding the phone.
Yeah, Tony was the video guy that day. Come on now.
I don't see it in this email. Hold on.
The PI is Chloe and Heather.
I don't think so. They were the PIs. But I don't think
I just saw Heather
anymore.
on the Nashville News a week ago. She's working on another case of a guy on death row that they're trying to get him an appeal. Actually.
Huh. Yeah, I don't see that in your email, but no, they were at one point. Chloe has publicly. Chloe was sent a cease and desist from Seth, so she's definitely not his PI. And Chloe still says,
hasn't SF said that she's still searching privately though on her own? I'm pretty sure that's what he said on Web Sleuth the other night.
Well, I didn't hear that, but I do know that Chloe's been, she split away from Seth, but she was still doing her investigative work. Yeah.
Yes. She's searching on her own privately and not talking about it.
And let's not forget, while he yelled at Trevor, the way he yelled at him was very telling. What did I tell you, boy? I told you, boy. It was very...
Come to my house and find out what a man does,
yeah.
boy.
Come out of Chloe's house. Stop hiding.
Yeah, what?
And he's talking to a very young adult. I mean, very young adult. It was very unnecessary aggression. And that was all because Tony or Trevor Lee disagreed with Tony.
Well, and let's not forget that it also came out after that he was calling Trevor Lee at, 1:00 in the morning
with
crying and trying to manipulate him into what? I don't know. But when Trevor didn't go along with it, that
actually came out first. So what had happened was Trevor Lee came up on my panel and shared his thoughts on Tony and Seth and why he's no longer working with them.
I didn't see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Trevor Lee got a message warning him that if he appears back on my panel or shows any more of Tony's messages, he's going to regret it. They were blackmailing him. And Trevor Lee was upset about it it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, the day of Smiley's Live, there's 2 audit accounts, allegedly, of Seth and Tony going around telling everybody to tune in to Smiley's tonight. They were going to be on panel. And then that whole stupid thing, acting like he thought he was backstage, cursing out. And that's where they blamed him they were blackmailing him with the phone call, knowing that it was Michaela that was initially the one involved in that.
Right.
So, yeah, they were doing slimy shit to keep people quiet.
Any PR guy would have cut that video as soon as he started, escalating his voice.
Right. Instead, he held the camera for him to get it all out.
Yeah.
And they did that whole fake thing going under the name of Chris and, it happens to be the same tree. They're trolls. Tony's a troll. He's no good.
Yep.
Do you think that he fired them because they were making progress? Possibly. I know what I really think. I think Tony was threatened by their professionalism. I think Tony was threatened because these people could see right through Tony and Seth couldn't. So Tony got everybody,
and everybody that Tony wanted to bring in had a criminal record.
They were all slime balls.
And Chloe was doing background checks. And Seth was like, she wanted to do background checks and complaining about it.
But then Tony said, we're doing background checks on everybody going forward. So that time it was okay. Mm. And not only that, but Heather, the other PI, offered to do a background check on Tony. And if they really did have the wrong identity, and it wasn't Tony that had the credit card fraud and all the lawsuits against him for ripping people off, including a church, she would clear it. And Tony didn't agree to that agreement because he knows they didn't have the wrong identity. Yeah, they're just slime balls. I mean, they're just. Tony is. And I think Tony took Seth down a really bad path. I think if Seth would have stuck with the team he had in the beginning, I don't know if we'd have answers by now, but I think he'd be in a better place.
Well, let me just say this, Granny. So many people that think Chris Proudfoot is guilty have said that this is how bad Tony is, okay? That people that think Chris is guilty think Tony was hired to sabotage Seth.
Oh, wow.
And make him look guilty. I've heard that. I don't know how many times. So that should tell you how horrible Tony is for Seth. If people think he was hired
By their Proudfoot, right?
Yes, by someone who actually did this and wants to blame Seth.
I mean, hell, we heard Seth say, as a grieving father, that when he falls asleep at night, his phone rings and wakes him up to let him know that people are talking bad about him on social media. And who was ringing his phone? Of the father missing his child in the middle of the night, barely sleeping? Tony. What kind of spokesperson rings the phone to tell you somebody has something bad to say about you? Only an enemy does that type of shit.
Exactly. And it's crazy to me because he works in sales and I worked in sales for 15 years. And I don't know what people are like that buy cranes, but this guy is just a freaking total douche. Like not likable at all.
I wouldn't buy a thing from him.
Yeah. I mean, just from the minute he would walk in the room, I think my vibes would be like, ugh. Skeezy. You know what I'm saying?
He does have that skeezy vibe to him. Absolutely.
I don't know, like the crane industry, like professionalism, like how they are man to man. Who knows?
I wonder if that's just if Tony's trying to get it out of, I mean, he's pretty well off. He spent many years ripping off companies though.
Well, dude, think about it this way, Granny. You know how much it costs to buy a crane? They're like you would spend millions to buy like a fleet of cranes. So if he gets a percentage in commission, he's making bank.
That's true.
Even if you just sell one crane.
He's bragged about, I live in $1 million home off the lake.
I don't doubt it. I mean, I'm sure that there is big money in that.
And there's big money in robbing churches too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, he has a lot of, apparently him and his wife had a lot of lawsuits against them for, incomplete jobs or breaking a contract. And, I do think he's a greedy man. And I think that he preys. I think he's a vulture. I think he preys on the vulnerable. And I do think that Seth doesn't realize he's being taken for a run. And like you said, if people that hate the Proudfoots think the Proudfoots sent him in, well, that's pretty telling.
Mimi, even if he does sell parts to keep cranes running, cranes are expensive, right? So like if you're spending between $500,000 and $1 million on a crane, can you imagine what the parts are? Look at our cars. You know what I'm saying? Like our cars are what, $30,000 for a new one, whatever. And you need an alternator and it's what, $300, $400, $500 sometimes. Think about a crane.
I couldn't even fathom. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a personality to sell parts, though. You kind of do.
If
But that's
have
what he
choices.
is.
If they have choices.
He's an actor. The man's a shady salesman, and he sold himself right into the true crime sector, and it didn't take people long to open up their eyes and see him for what he really is, and he hates that. So what does he do when people discover what he is? He threatens them. Tries to silence people through fear. Yeah, he is a praying Tony Mathis. They usually are brought through companies that make other equipment.
Corporations are buying cranes and they buy them usually in, large amounts, especially if it's a big company. And they have multiple locations and stuff. I mean, he's got half the country, he said.
Ugh.
And he's over there in like North Dakota all the time. They're probably building a lot there. I don't know. He seems to do pretty well.
So did I. Crime scene photo. I don't know where it came out that he's saying he didn't. It's not a dig. I'm just offering a different view. A family that leases out heavy equipment, usually contractors will rent them. Crazy money. Well, that's how the guy got to where he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Gosh, it's just sickening. It's just sad that the way they try to pull that over on court TV and Vinnie, I can't believe that the type of, like the sheer audacity you have to bring that, you know what I mean? Like to put them on the spot like that.
A national freaking, actually global, because this is on their website.
Yeah.
This is worldwide. You go on, and that's why I'm saying, like, Seth, you're being punked. I just can't help but feel that, because if I had someone that was helping me out and they went on with me to do a nationwide global show to defend me or to help me, And they sat there and said, we'll do anything. We need court TV's assistance. Vinnie will do anything.
Right.
It sounds so desperate. It makes him look guilty AF.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't help him at all.
If you didn't do anything, why are you worried about getting cleared? F the public. This is your kid.
Well, what? So they're saying they want to be cleared because they'll be able to bring organizations in. What organizations will be able to come in if Seth is cleared?
I don't know. Someone said Chris McDonough, but he doesn't need anyone cleared. He went into Summer Wells
without them being cleared.
Yeah, that's not a prerequisite for him.
Yeah, it's an ego thing. Like, just clear them. Just clear them.
Yeah, they're trying to give him a reason like, oh, we need more help and we can't get it until, they say those words, cleared.
Right. Where you would think it doesn't, in your heart, you're clear. Just go about and do what you have to do to find your son.
Exactly. You're sitting here worried about creators covering this in a positive way. It doesn't matter.
All the weird shit.
Yeah, you shouldn't even care how anybody's covering it. If they're saying your kid's name and people are aware that he's missing, that's all you should care about.
Well, it's funny you say that because, like I said, even going on court TV, they had to bring up drama, right? Like that is what Tony's heart is. Tony is a drama, attention-loving, evil man, in my opinion. I do think he's evil. I've heard the threats he's made to people behind the scenes, and it takes some type of evil to do that, to be that way. But he gets up there, he mentions drama. Now, even Chris Proudfoot before, and I know people don't like him, I don't care. He said at one point, if I have to be the internet's punching bag, I don't care so long as it keeps Sebastian's name out there. He doesn't care what the public thinks of him so long as it continues to keep Sebastian's name and face out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you would think it would be. Like, man up already. I don't know.
It's very bizarre. And if he ever wonders why people don't trust him, I mean, does he replay his own interviews?
I doubt it. He probably gets off like, oh, I did. Tony probably gets off and he's like, you did really good, Seth. You did really good.
Yeah. I mean, he's just getting but how can he not see it? I just don't buy it. I don't buy that he doesn't see how the public is reacting to Tony.
It's Tony, right? Even bigger creators said, if he got rid of Tony, it's just Tony.
That's why I think he got into this binding agreement, and something's up with that engagement letter he said he signed.
I would love to know what that consisted of.
Me too.
And why is it Tony? Like, why aren't either of them wearing, showing Sebastian's face? Why doesn't
Where's
Tony,
his picture? Mm-hmm.
Right. Why doesn't Tony ever wear, one of the Sebastian missing shirts? Or they just don't take full advantage. It's more like they take the opportunity to speak on themselves.
Yeah. To whatever their personal agenda is. Seth wants to be cleared. And Tony, I don't know what he wants.
Well, isn't it funny
to look like the hero?
Isn't it funny that what Seth and Tony wants is what's leading Seth to be in more trouble, right? Like right now, one of the main reasons this aura was placed on Betty is because Betty plans on coming back for the voice whatever thing, where she wants to strong arm and protest the police into claiming that Seth Rogers is cleared as a suspect. Now, when she's coming back to their town and that she's made all these, bringing my pew and machetes and all this, made Katie feel uncomfortable. And Katie's like, you know what? She's planning on being here. She's made all these threats. I want protection. I need protection. And that's because, and then Tony goes in and super chats her $50 to say, I support you in this. So you tell me again how he's helping Seth Rogers look better. It's insane. Something is a written contract. Engagement letter is a written contract between a company and a client that outlines the terms of their business relationship, ensures expectations and standards are met. I can't believe that he would have a father sign that.
Right. What are the standards? What was the agreement? What did he sign to agree to?
It's unbelievable. Oh, yeah, Betty's not going to escape this. And then people are claiming that Betty just met up with Seth and that Seth is hiding her. If that came out to be true, do you know how horrible that would look on Seth Rogers? He was a year prior, he was diagnosed with autism.
I think this would be, if we do
Gary.
what I texted you about, I think this would be a good clip to play as well. The
It would
end
be.
part of this.
What are
To
your
get a
thoughts on this?
raw, just a raw reaction to that. Because it's so weird. But we've been watching this for 6 months. Like, I'd love a fresh set of eyes that
Right, 'cause
doesn't know anything.
I mean, I admit I'm very biased. I don't like Seth Rogers as a
It's
person.
hard.
Yep, and I can't stand Tony at all.
Me either.
I
Seth
wonder.
just
They
isn't
said they
likable.
weren't. Wasn't that weird too? All right, so I noticed that Seth has distanced himself from Betty. Now I don't watch her very often, but I don't see her, fanboying over him in a chat like, oh, Seth. But Seth and Tony did turn down showing up at Betty's little event. That's weird.
What event?
Where she's going to protest outside the police station to have Seth cleared as a suspect.
So Seth isn't going?
He said he wasn't.
Oh, he did. I didn't catch that.
Yet encouraged it, right? Yet encouraged it.
Oh my
We
God.
support you in it. We support you in it, but we won't be able to make it type of thing.
Like she's taking all the heat.
Yeah. And I think they're doing it on purpose. Like she's their puppet. She's Tony Mathis's puppet.
Uh-huh.
And she's loving it because she gets to, seek revenge on JLR. It's like the weirdest thing. It's like Betty's using this to go at JLR and Steph's using this to go at Katie. You got two scorned lovers coming together to publicly humiliate their exes. Or alleged ex, because, JLR never claimed her. The gathering of the voices. And yet hers is going to be silenced. Are they going to have taped on flyers that day too? And paid her? I never heard about paying, but I do believe they said they support her. I know, like I said, Tony sent a $50 super chat and said, oh, we support your movements. Only in the pub, right? And I feel like that's what is happening. And the public eyes, they are disassociating from these people, but yet privately, they're all shaking hands. And I'm sorry, but I feel like Terry Lynn's part of that. I know people really like her, and that's fine. I'm not saying I don't like her, but I do believe she is more involved with Seth Rogers to this day than she leads us to believe she is.
Oh, for sure. When anybody talks out of both sides of their mouth, there's a reason for it.
Right. Right, then the process server can find her that day.
Shady cooters. I was wondering too, if the judge said she was avoiding service, I wonder if they came up with like an alternative method of service. Because sometimes they can do like certified mail or they can leave it, if the judge orders that.
So here's what happened with mine. I originally, you go down and you give it to your sheriff's office, and your sheriff's office then faxes it over to their sheriff's office, and they're in different states, and their sheriff's office goes and serves it. Now, if they're intentionally hiding from service, that becomes a problem, but they're able to put it through the newspaper. You're able to take other ways. They can hire a private source to do it. There's so many things that can be done. Now, somebody mentioned earlier in the chat, and this happened to me as well. Afterwards, it was stated that the person I had it granted against wasn't served. And I had to argue how wasn't it served when they were at the fucking hearing.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I mean? Like they were like, yeah, we recognize this violation, but unfortunately they weren't served. So there's nothing to do.
Stupid.
And I'm like, they were at the hearing, like not physically, but their attorney signed a paper where they were there. They had representation. How were they not served? So at that point, I had to come up with a way to make sure the service went through myself. Because
they
of that.
Put it on you.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be the way, because you're not supposed to contact, you know what I mean? You don't want contact with this person, whatever. But I was offered like, oh, well, you can have the sheriff do it again, or you can do it this way, you can do it that way. And then I had to actually argue with his police that he was aware of it. So it can be a whole thing. And if the
judge, if the judge like recognized that, he could have said, service her again via, this method, or this method.
Well, it could be something as simple as asking the local news to go ahead and host Betty again, and then them verbally making her aware. That could be a thing too. So there's so many ways they can do it. But the first step is the judge acknowledging on the court that Betty
On
is
the
avoiding
record.
on the record that Betty is
Mhm.
avoiding service.
What an idiot. And you know how dumb this makes her look? Think about the Daily Mail, okay?
Oh yeah, it's
If you go
embarrassing.
if you go back and read, they say, you know, they tell her side, and they give her story, you know, and then they tell about what Katie wrote, how she's dangerous, and then at the bottom they're like, a judge will decide on August 8th where this, you know, where this ends up. So you know that Daily Mail is going to follow up.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then what they're going to get? Well, if this woman is so certain that she's done nothing wrong, why are you avoiding service? You
right.
acknowledge you're aware of it, accept your service, and show up. If I knew that I was being falsely accused, I would await my day in court to free myself of these allegations. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now they're going to follow up and say, well, the judge noted, you know, during the hearing that Bullhorn Betty was avoiding service.
Well, get this. So this other person moved and said, good luck ever serving me again. Right. So like, do you think the courts are going to frown upon that? Like, yeah, the courts know you're playing games with them. You're avoiding service. They're not going to like that very much. Betty's an absolute, these people are fools. But it is always the narcissistic ones that think they can get away with this shit. And I do think Betty has some type of narcissism. But she really thinks she's innocent, Jay. She really thinks she's done nothing wrong.
Yeah,
That's
she has
scary.
herself convinced. She's made up her own situation in her own head and has herself convinced of it. It's actually very scary because someone like that is not in reality, you know? And that's why I said, like, after she talked about the pew in the bra, I watched Terry Bowersox get confronted by her again and how easy that could have went so badly.
Oh, yeah.
You know? It's scary.
And not only that, but that is exciting. So Betty did this before. It was in December. I did a video about Betty where somebody called in a wellness check, and it turned out to be an actual supporter of hers because she was mentally unstable, and you could see it through her streams, and they were genuinely concerned. So they called in a wellness check. When the wellness check was made, Betty went on this whole rant that it was JLR. And that's when us, the public, realized that she really thought JLR was her boyfriend. Because she says, my ex-boyfriend, they wrote it wrong, but it said Jonathan Richard or something. Jonathan Lee Richard. It was one little off. So I did a whole stream on it. And that's when Betty was like, oh, he has all these hoes and different area codes. And we were like busting up about it. And she's like, oh, you know, the auntie in the woods. It was so bizarre. But the point is, even back then, she rather believed it was JLR being nefarious, just like she believes today it is JLR behind the Proudfoots doing this against her. She does not accept any accountability that is her actions. She wants to believe Queen Bee is the reason people are going after her and this and that. She does not accept the problem is her because she's delusional. There's something wrong with her. It is scary.
Did you see her last night?
No, God, what did she do?
Oh, Lord, girl.
Her latest video or stream?
Yep. Last night, she has Brian Koberger and Sebastian on it. If you go about halfway through, dude, she starts talking about how she loved JLR and how but she says that if he continues to put out lies about Seth, that she is going to put out a truth about him. So she tells this crazy story about she says, fat bitch.
Oh.
That kept him out of the clinker, and he was doing her to keep him out of the clinker. I don't even know what
that
she's talking
sense.
About. Dude, and then she says that she went over to JLR's one day when they were quote unquote dating, and the neighbor came out and said, I haven't seen you in a while. And Betty said, oh, yeah, well, I've been traveling for the last 2 months. And the neighbor said, oh. And she goes, I didn't pick up on it then. But she was alluding to the fact that he was cheating on her. Oh, it's amazing. And at the very end, she says, you know, she admits that, you know, when you're in love with someone and you find out they're just I can't remember, abusive man. That's what she said.
Look at this. I'll play that in a second. You know, it's crazy. She says, oh, I loved him. I actually felt bad for her. I get it. Your heart was broken, but you don't get to then use this missing child to seek revenge on him. Whatever he does, with Seth Rogers has nothing to do with Betty. She's not his personal protector. And the only reason she wants to be is so she can continue to talk about JLR and not come across like the scorned sociopath she is. So how many of you went? What happened exactly with the 3 POs? 5 of them went. 5.
How many?
5 of us went. It was granted. So was it continued or was it granted? I mean, extension is granted it, but was it granted for a year or was it granted for another week?
Someone came into your chat and said that there's no update, like there's no court date.
And then look, permanent or temporary, can you explain a little further? Yeah, I'm trying. We just spoke with Eric Craddock. I don't know, more to come.
Eric Craddock?
The fuck's Eric Craddock have to do with it?
Why are they, she doesn't even know how to spell his name. But why are they talking to Eric Craddock? I mean, isn't Eric Craddock burying his boss today?
How, like, oh, Eric Craddock, can you please explain why this judge made this?
Dude,
yeah, what?
Well, I call bullshit.
This is weird. I believe it was granted.
Oh, the funeral's tomorrow. Sorry.
Hey, 13th hour, still disrespectful. Like, was Eric Craddock can't do anything for you?
Yeah, quit bugging Eric Craddock for fuck's sakes. He just had to take over the sheriff's department, and tomorrow he's burying his boss.
Right, and
I'm sure he's busy.
You think he has nothing to do with whatever the judge decided today? He can't do nothing for you. Yeah, they can be granted for a year, and then they can be extended. Hey, 13th hour. She showed up on the scene, JLR. Oh, yeah, I know. You seen in JLR's face. He's like, oh, this freaking stalker. All right, so let's hear. She looks so messy.
Is, as you can imagine, my heart and soul.
Is she back to this weird whispering shit throughout this stream?
Yeah, and look at the pictures. Like I told you, they're those weird, like patriotic old.
They
like,
are.
Founding father type.
Which look like they'd be in the bedroom that matches what Tony Mathis was sitting in.
It kind of does.
Kind of does.
Weird. Yes, with that basin.
Mm-hmm. That old, ass. I mean, even look like grandma's quilts that she used to quilt for me were on the bed, to be honest. Like, it's very old fashioned.
She looks like she's in grandma's spare room.
Right. Ellie's not the judge. I wonder how we can find out if it was granted. JLR is better off with Magnolia. I agree with that. My only complaint is Magnolia overspeaks JLR a lot. Why are titties so low? Why did I highlight that? In the box, on the box, under a box. I'm going to make lunch. So are in place, extend, past not the legal process. I don't know.
You know, the 2 trips that me and Olivia took out there, it cost us both $10,000 each.
Who cares, bitch? You
so
chose
we've
to
already
go.
invested a lot of our own personal money into this story. And more important, how's our baby being? Delilah earlier today, and he says my grass is ridiculously high. So I've got to
keep going. It's further up.
It's like I don't.
She's so annoying.
So,
very.
She's doing has been washed away. Or that's still pretty bad. But I heard Savannah, Georgia, that came through. It was crazy. But there was some substantial. I mean, we not only that. Have deadly consequences.
I remember her in Idaho. She's like, Jonathan told me to keep streaming, so I'm going to keep streaming.
Oh my God, I can't.
So weird.
And this one particular 18-wheeler ended up getting caught in something and literally.
Yeah, keep going.
Even though it wasn't a direct hit.
Once she starts, she keeps on
Thank
it.
you all.
Probably right about here.
This man. I don't talk about him.
Yeah,
there you go.
Oh, I don't talk about it. I knew right where it would be by her face. You're so transparent, Betty. I'm like, it'll be right about here. Oh boy.
That was classic.
They hear more about me than they did their own son. So whatever PR stuff that they were trying to do, it backfired on them. And I know for a fact it was JLR, and I know almost verbatim what he was telling. You want to pull her out. You want to pull her out. You want to take her out of her comfort zone. I can already tell you that the pitch that he gave him.
Is that the pitch he used to give Betty? You want to take them out of their comfort zone.
You got to get them out of their comfort zone.
Get them out. Get them out.
And I know almost verbatim what he was telling him. You want to pull her out. You want to pull her out. You want to.
He doesn't even talk like that, Jay. He does not speak like that. Oh my God.
Take her out of her comfort zone. I can already tell you that the pitch that he gave.
Like he's not pulling his arm back and doing all that. Shut up, Betty. You're weird.
You know why? Because it's the same pitch he gave me.
Exactly. It's the same pitch he gave you, and now you're stuck in a lawsuit. You don't know how to represent yourself because he did the legwork.
Just saying. I could tell you everything about this man. I was with him for 2 years.
2 years? Damn, you
know?
went unclaimed publicly for 2 years?
2 years?
That's a fucking shame.
Wow.
That's sad. I think Seth was using those filters so we couldn't pick up that he's with Betty and hiding her out. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's factual. It's just my opinion. Jen, could you imagine dating somebody for 2 years, both you being content creators, being in the same area, and nobody knowing at all that you two were dating, and you still don't think
No.
there's a problem?
On video together too.
Right. And no signs at all that they were dating.
None.
Wow. Unbelievable.
And at the end of the day, he's setting up the Proudfoots. He hasn't done anything good for them. All he's done is cause them problems.
He doesn't even like them.
To him because they think he's their friend. Well,
he doesn't speak to their Proudfoots. He thinks they're guilty. She's so
Look at her
ridiculous.
face.
I know. Like she's a know-it-all. Well,
this doesn't look like a friendly move to me. You just got your ass handed to you on a silver platter, Proudfoots.
how did
What?
she's so delusional. Right, PJ? She's so delusional. Like you just got your ass handed. Sounds like you got your ass handed to you today, but you didn't show up.
Right.
Up her volume, I can't. It's her talking purposely low. I can lower mine.
Way to go. That's why now you know why Seth dumped this team. They're horrible and awful. And they do stupid stuff that causes people problems. And that's why they're not involved with Seth at all.
Who's facing an
RO?
RO?
They're attacking him nonstop. And of course, with me coming out and throwing everybody's dirt, and that's exactly what it is.
Your own dirt.
Like they brought it on themselves. I just happened to know about it. You know, you attack Seth. I'm going to drop the truth bombs on you while you're lying about Seth. I'm going to tell the truth about you. And I told.
But he's not lying about Seth, because there's one thing I know about JLR, and he will never put some shit out unless he's 100% confident, because he knows if he puts out somebody's a P word and he don't have enough to back that up, that he's facing a lawsuit. And JLR will very confidently put it out and say, I'll see you in court. There's no way he didn't find something on Seth that he is confident about.
Yeah.
No way.
I agree. He would never say something like that if he couldn't back it up.
100% back it up. He would never, not even take a 50-50 chance. So there's no doubt in my mind he has something that we don't have. And Betty being like, every time you lie on Seth, you don't know Seth. You might think you know JLR because you were a secret lover for 2 years, but you don't know Seth Rogers. You know nothing about this man. All you know is that your ex doesn't like him. That's it. And that's all it takes for her. That's all it takes. No, we went over that, Thor. It's the way they wrote it. It's saying the hearings thereafter at 1 p.m.
Another thing to keep an eye on while she's talking is her eye, like what she's looking at. At one point, I noticed she says something about her dog, and she kind of looks down at the floor, like it's next to her.
There.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird. But you never hear them, so I don't know. But just watch how she looks around.
Like she's in a room with somebody?
Yeah, it's like she's not alone. Because what would you be looking at? Like, what would you be looking at?
Right. Good point.
Keep an eye on it.
You guys haven't heard me talk about this man. I don't talk about him.
Look in her.
I let him go.
I don't talk about him, she just said?
I let him go.
I let him go. I don't talk about him. I let him go. That's all she's done is diarrheaed her feelings about him all over this platform.
Stay away and not cause any more problems.
For
the investigators in this case, then I have nothing to say about him. But as soon as he starts coming, I'm going to start telling you guys about how he put his parents in jail. I'm going to start telling you about the 300-pound woman that he was banging so she would protect him from the law enforcement.
Betty, we don't care that he was banging you, sweetheart. We don't care.
What the?
Is she the 300-pound woman he was banging to protect him from law enforcement?
Yeah.
Come on. And she knew all of this and was okay with it?
She even mentions me. She says something, I don't know if it's in this part or in the beginning, but she says something like, how do you think I knew about him and Jay is for Justice? Your intel.
Sorry.
Her
I'm
intel.
Sorry. This is hysterical. Because all these things she's now trying to use against him, she was okay with when she was outside of the Chili's with him, right? Like it didn't come then.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too, Missy RN. I was already keeping an eye for that. But now all of a sudden, he put his own mom in jail. He was banging a 300-pound woman. I mean,
her tank top says happy. She actually pans down at one point.
Oh, gosh. Nappy.
Starts coming. I'm going to start telling you guys about how he put his parents in jail. I'm going to start telling you about the 300-pound woman that he was banging so she would protect him from the law enforcement back in the 90s so he wouldn't have to be arrested.
In the 90s? Like, what? You psychopath? In the 90s? He was banging somebody to stay out of jail?
Her name's Kim, by the way.
Her name's Kim.
You know, I've got a lot of truth about this man.
No one
If
cares.
he wants to keep lying about Seth, he can do so. I really don't care. I have the truth. I have receipts about him. And I don't mind putting.
Well, with utmost respect, Cray, we can't just put our parents in jail, right? So, like, just kind of comprehend what she's saying and see if it makes any logical sense.
Them out there. How do you think I knew about Jay is for Justice and him?
Oh, there it is. There it is.
So he's a dirty dog.
He's a dirty dog.
And now he's literally trying to cause interference at the benefit of the Proudfoots.
That's what makes it really sad, Jay.
A guy that really cares about the truth.
You know how I knew about you and JLR being friends? Because he straight up told me. He said there's very few creators on this platform I trust. And he said, if there's any good creators, I would recommend you associate with. He said, Jay is my girl. She's been my friend for X amount of years. Nothing but respect for her. He told me to stay away from certain people. But he said, like, you're his friend. He never, I banged her in the 90s. Like, no weird shit out of it.
Right.
He just said he has utmost respect for you.
Yeah. And you know what? She's probably heard him, say that.
And got jealous.
Sentiment. And yes, like she was his girl for 2 years and no one knew. But
right.
her?
Nobody knew.
I mean, I didn't even know. Like, okay, here's a funny story. So when they went to Summer Wells, when they went to Tennessee for Summer Wells, that was when right after the laundries, because we were covering summer before, and then they were doing the laundries, and then after the laundry thing died down, then they were heading to Tennessee with Molly Golightly. And JLR called me and he's like, can you give me like the rundown on the Summer Wells thing? Like, what's up with Don? So I kind of told him like what he missed in the beginning. And they got to Tennessee and it was nothing but drama from Molly Golightly and Andra towards me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And she sent me that message on Twitter that said, you may be able to use Jonathan, but you're not going to use me, back off, whatever. So I asked Jonathan, I'm like, because I never have asked him about any kind of drama or anything being said about anybody. Because I just never went
do the drama. Right.
Yeah, but I did ask him what was going on there because it was, I can't even remember what was happening, but it was getting bad. And he just said basically that those girls are just a bunch of drama and he's doing his own thing. And that was how it was left. Like, I never got the impression that, him and her had something different than anybody.
Right. It's not like he said, oh, Betty's my girlfriend and she's a little upset about our relationship as friends. Nothing. Well, that's funny you say that. Molly shared a story during the Summer Wells time and something about where they were all going to sleep. And Molly made it clear, like, I'm not sleeping in a room with you, JLR, like, like how Molly is. And Betty turned around and said something like, oh, I was going to be so mad if he stayed in a room with you. She just shared this recently. It was something like that.
Oh my God.
And even Molly was kind of like, I got a husband. You can have this one. Like it was, but so she was weird. And even then Molly's like, I didn't know they had anything going on.
Wow.
Yeah. So her insecurities are real.
Makes you wonder if it was a delusion. Like maybe she was in love with him and.
Right. He probably banged her a time or two. I mean, you got a single man out, boots on the ground in these areas. You got this woman who's clearly infatuated with you. I'm sure he slept with her a time or two, but do I think he ever like dated her? I'm sure he took her to Chili's or, whatever, but he's a respectful guy like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
If he's with you, like, oh, are you hungry? Like, let's go grab lunch type of thing. And Betty probably thought it meant more.
Right. It's bizarre.
Never
admitted it.
Nope. Still to this day, he doesn't acknowledge it.
And it's weird too, because it's not like, oh, he just keeps that part of him to himself because he's been very public with Magnolia.
Yep.
And then when I knew him before from Facebook, he did have a girlfriend and there was
public
pictures of him and her. Yeah. Yikes.
No, I agree with any of you. No, I'm telling you, it was probably the first male attention Betty's gotten in a long time. Her attention with JLR led her to having live streams where she was getting attention from the public. She probably became infatuated with him, Like I said, maybe they had relations. I wouldn't doubt it. And she fell in love and he just kind of didn't look at it that way.
I just ask one favor from you, Granny, as you watch this.
Yes.
Please do not feel sorry for her because she gets pretty pathetic.
Well, I felt sorry for her in the beginning. Not gonna lie,
fuck.
because I could tell she was in a. But you know me,
This
Jay.
might get. I know this might get you. I'm just warning you.
All right, I'm just gonna remember.
Yes, just keep it in the back of your head.
I'm gonna keep it in
Because I know how you are. Because I actually was like, wow, this is like borderline
sad,
like really pitiful.
Right. And yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, man, when she was like, I was in a very dark place, you know, I'm like, oh, that does suck, man. You know what I mean?
But then you got to remember she's doing this in Sebastian's name. I mean,
right. You're right.
You want to vent about your relationship, then have a live stream and talk about your woes.
Right. But don't tag Sebastian Rogers, Brian Koberger.
Yes.
And tell us all about, right. Let me toughen up a little bit. Fuck you, Betty.
Exactly. Because think about the Idaho 4 victims. And Sebastian.
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? I'm with Nash Native here. I said the same thing. She is begging for JLR's attention right now. That's why she put out the thing about him being abusive. Because she would take she'll take any attention from him. Because what bothers a narcissist more than anything? Being ignored, being denied.
Yeah.
Not being seen. And she's poking the fuck out of him. And JLR's just eating it every time.
Dude, her community post didn't get a reaction. So she went further in this one. Actually, she says that she's willing to go in front of his house with a bullhorn. Keep playing.
Oh, I bet you would.
Oh, it gets better.
This is the guy that really cares about the victim? Or is this the person that appears to look like all he wants to do is seek and destroy Seth? An innocent father. And he's sitting there trying to make him a suspect because his new clients, the Proudfoots, look horrible because of his own advice that he gave him. Now he has no choice but to do damage control for him. And they can make memes about me and their private group to 40,000 people. But I can tell you many people.
I like the private group of 40,000 people.
Are done and over their bullshit. No. Their whole team's bullshit.
Dude, everything she says is a projection of herself. No, people are done and over your bullshit, Betty.
People, but I can tell you, many people are done and over their bullshit. Their whole team's bullshit. Because they're seeing how horrible they are, how biased they are, and how unprofessional they are. Everybody's seeing that on these streets. Everybody. It's not just a few people. Like literally all.
Let me pause this really quick because you just made a great comment, Jay. Do you know in the body cam footage, it is Betty being the aggressor? Betty's the one who has like 42 counts of being aggressive towards exes, not JLR.
Right.
No.
Strangulation.
Yeah, like the deepest. That's the most intimate form of DVR there can get.
Chris Watts much?
Oh, creepy. And then, yeah, right here, JLR always says, I don't think Seth's guilty. I think Katie Proudfoot has the answers. So we're supposed to believe he's working. He doesn't work for anybody. He's an independent thinker. There's no way he's in any of these parents' pockets. None of them.
Nope.
And he would never, ever, ever insult the Gabby Petito Foundation. He didn't threaten that man.
No.
Oh, she's so full of projection.
But you know what? It's so easy. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's so easy to lie about things like that with him and get people to believe it. Some people who really don't know him, it's easy to get people to believe that because if they've seen his past, you know, they're easy to fall for that. And she knows it.
Right. She does know it. I don't think officially feisty, but I mean, I don't know.
That used to actually take him serious have turned their backs on him. Okay.
No, they haven't.
All of the people that used to have some type of respect for his journalistic, his gonzo journalistic
just her.
Work,
wait. Stop it. Stop. He went from 100,000 to 200 and I think 40 some thousand subscribers in a matter of months. He got 2 million views in 2 hours yesterday.
Not only that, Jay, but when I was literally in the same town that he was in, as he is filming, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that were like JLR.
Yeah, to the point.
Yeah, to the point where even kids were coming up like, oh, can I have a picture with you? And I said, dude, you should get like little JLR like frisbees or something. You know what I mean? Like something to give the kids. That the people literally, he was like a superstar. I couldn't believe it.
Well, he's been followed on Facebook for a long time before he came to YouTube. He has a real, even my son followed him for years now. And he's always like laughed at like his videos and stuff. And Yeah, my son's followed him for probably 5-6 years on Facebook. So yeah, he's got a brand, and that's what Betty's trying to do. It's like she's trying to be the female JLR by being, oh, I'm gonna sue you, and
right,
it's
boots
just
on the
so,
ground and personally
yeah,
involved. Yeah, she does. She's very concerned and how envious she is of him.
it's gross.
And again, the only reason Betty has anything of what she does is because of JLR. He's the one that got her involved in all this shit. Unfortunately, allegedly, that's what she says.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was funny because when they were, something just popped in my head about the laundry times when he said, because he asked me to go down there one day to when they were protesting, and I was like, "No, I'm gonna stay and stream. Like that just isn't my gig. I'm not a yeller. You know what I mean? It's just not my gig. But whatever." I asked him who she was the first time I saw her when they were out there, and he said, I don't quote me, but I remember him saying something along the lines of, "Oh, she's just somebody I know from like the Trump stuff."
Right, the politics, yes.
Yes,
that's where he knew her from.
And that was the only explanation I got.
Because that's what Betty said. She said, I knew JLR from the political scene, and he called me up one day about this case, about the laundry case, and invited me because he knows I'm good at being loud and protest, and he invited me to come.
Yeah. God, he opened up what he didn't even expect, I bet you. He's probably like, yeah, I've seen this lady at these rallies. She's loud. She's not scared to put herself out there. She lives around here. Let's go, find out about Gabby.
Right.
And then boom, look what it opened up to.
A whole demon. A whole demon came out.
A whole ass demon.
Oh, look at her in all her seriousness right now, too. Like she really thinks all the things all the things JLR has experienced in his life, you really think Betty's going to be the one to destroy him?
I know, right?
I mean, come on.
Meanwhile, him and Magnolia are on their way out west to go report on the wildfires.
We'll look at tons of viewers.
And that must chap her ass.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. Remember when he had to tell her to shut in front of his sister's house? She wouldn't stop yelling when he was trying to talk to Brian's sister.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was like, be quiet.
Yeah. And just stop.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but she said one time, because JLR started advertising Magnolia's channel, and then he started kind of bringing her more into the content, like having her on the phone and speaking and all, and Betty claims that was because of her. She's like, I told you he would do this. He's so transparent. He's watching me. It's like, I think he's watching his beautiful girlfriend on the screen, not you, sweetheart.
Oh my God.
Oh, she's nuts.
They want nothing to do with him. Jonathan Lee Riches will never be on mainstream media ever because of his shenanigans.
He has been.
Okay, they want nothing to do with him. Nothing. He's not going to be advocating for people. They're not going to be taking his footage. They're not going to do anything. They want nothing to do with him and Magnolia because they're so disgusting.
Oh, I'm sure, Betty.
Is that what they said?
That's why I started posting. I told him every time he lies about Seth, I'm going to put truth serum out about him. I told him that to his face. And so he decided to go and cower out.
How did she tell him that to his face?
What kind of serum was it?
Truth serum.
Was it in her ears?
I told him that to his face. And so he decided to go and cower out for a little bit. And not say anything, but see, his numbers are taking a nosedive.
No, they're not.
He's having crap numbers. And so the only way he can get his audience built back up for this case is to lie.
For this
and
case.
To have more.
Because Betty doesn't understand that JLR is able to cover different cases, different arenas, and still get the views. All Betty can cover is milk the shit out of Sebastian's name to get any type of views. She's so jealous of him. She said he needs to get his views up for this case. He doesn't need the views for this case. He goes to the border. He goes to the wildflower. He's chasing down freaking hurricanes. I listened to JLR talk to a cat for 10 minutes yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't need these numbers.
Made up allegations, like I told you. Him and his team make up this stuff. Jay and for Justice, T-Rev, all of them.
Oh, yeah. You're part of the team.
Oh, what?
I hope you get paid well.
Right?
Hell.
Shit. T-Rev, come on.
Run stories, and this is no different. And you know what? I proved it to you guys. T-Rev, you know, that I tried telling you was happening. Everybody called me a liar until the proof was in the pudding and the things started unraveling and people.
I don't recall Betty ever calling out T-Rev. Do any of you? Honestly, I don't remember that.
No.
Never.
Could truly see that they were making this stuff up. They were having friends call in and having these salacious conversations about this stuff, literally causing interference in a case, and all for profits and clicks and views.
Oh my God.
And then they sit there and attack me because I want no part of it.
Actually, if you know, JLR never covered the panel guest of T-Revs. Like, he never ran that as fact ever. He probably saw through it, to be honest. Look at her face. She's so confident in herself.
I watched the Vinnie news 20 damn times.
The chat's not even on her little rampage.
Didn't he get the season? Yeah, he got the season. And that's why he's keeping a low profile, but he'll come up with it. Go look at his numbers. He hasn't been hitting the numbers that he's used to hitting. So
Didn't he just get 2 million yesterday?
Wait, who's she talking about got a cease and desist?
JLR. But he
Did
never.
he?
No, he didn't get one from Seth. He got one from Seth's mother. Or threat of one from Seth's mother.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
his pocketbook's starting to hurt, and I'm pretty sure he's probably.
Do you know JLR is like making $20,000 a fucking month? His pocketbook, he doesn't have a pocketbook, and it's certainly not hurting.
I know he wouldn't be paying Magnolia. Magnolia's too desperate and too stupid. So he's probably just letting her, you know, do her thing to him for payment.
Oh my God. Gross. Gross.
I don't know. I really don't. I just know he's not coming from a place of investigative journalism. I know that he's coming from a place of hate and a place of destruction. And I've told him many times his head's not in it. And
he's coming from a place of hate and a place of destruction. Who's the one always on here spewing hate and destruction everywhere?
Yeah,
that's you, Betty.
She's about to say he changed.
Right.
I don't know, Betty. We went back 2 years on your videos, and seems like you're the one that's changed.
She really is jealous and disgusting, pristine. It really is sick. She's so full of hate.
His head right. And
he needs to get his head
right because he's too pissed off at me because I'm throwing all of his business out there.
He's not paying you any
I told
attention.
him I would if he didn't stop with the lies and the bullshit.
He's not even paying her any attention. She really thinks that he's in her forefront, that she's in his forefront. He's not even thinking of her. He's going about as business as usual. Oh, she's really like delirious.
Lies and the bullshit. All he had to do was start telling the truth and start doing actual investigative journalism.
Delusional,
but he hasn't. And so it's like, you know
he
what?
hasn't. That's what he's been doing.
I've got dirt on you. 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 And if you guys want to play these games, I've told everybody that I have no problem throwing this out there. I have no problem throwing their dirt out there.
She looks horrible.
None. You know, if they're going to keep doing all of this stuff to Seth, then I'll start doing all the same stuff right back to them. The difference is their stuff against Seth is lies. My stuff against JLR, I have receipts for, including him punching his ex-girlfriend in the face, where guys had to literally pull him off. You know, I'm friends with those guys that had to pull JLR off of that girl.
What does it say about you that you dated this man that you're now claiming is abusive? What does it say about you that you mourned the loss of this man that you're now describing to be so horrible? Like, what does it say about you, Sweaty Betty?
Armpit cooter.
Armpit cooter? Look at it hanging over in all its glorious form. Like, what does it say about her? She sounds psychotic. Like, you love him so much. He broke your heart. You wanted to be with him. But now he's the most horrible person on earth. Ooh. She makes me
They
so
were the
mad.
ones that told me. I went to the girl and asked her, and she said, yes, that did happen.
They told you, but you had to ask her?
And she said that she was literally bloody because of him. And I can tell you that the whole time I was with JLR, he grabbed my arm one time. I remember looking at him and said, don't ever touch me like that again. And he never.
Not for nothing, Betty, but Betty is more, Betty's bigger than JLR. Betty's more masculine than JLR. I highly doubt he ever grabbed the strangler's arm.
Bernadette? Meat flaps.
Right, but she wants him back so bad, and yeah, tells you a lot about a person.
Never touch me like that again.
I bet
It was
that happened.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see that side of him, but yes, there is that side of him.
Oh, you didn't see it for 2 years, but now we're supposed to believe it because he slept with a fat woman in the
Got that
90s.
recorded, got that on. I mean, I'm ready to hit play.
Oh, she has it recorded, Jay. She has it recorded.
Hit play. All she's got to do is hit play.
Hit that play, baby. Just like you had that video of the ferocious dogs attacking. Hit play.
I'm ready to put that out there.
Well, we're ready for
I've
it.
got receipts.
Mm-hmm.
I've got major receipts.
Yeah, you got chili receipts.
Since he did what he did.
Right.
Listen, JLR, I don't think could hurt a fly. I don't think JLR could hurt a fly.
No. I mean, you ever hear the way he talks to freaking cats?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, for real. I mean, there's a lot of things you can say about JLR that would probably ring true, you know, like trolling and shit.
Right.
But
and maybe mentally hurting people.
Yeah, like maybe playing mind games, but physical violence, I've never seen that even creep out of him. Now, Seth? Yeah. Seth, I don't even know the guy. And I could tell you that he could be violent. But
Right,
I've never got that vibe from JLR ever.
Right. I'm telling you, he's a small man. Betty's bigger than him. Like Betty even said
He's
she's
too
over.
chill.
Betty used to say she used to go over to his house and fix the pipes.
I know, I heard that.
Like she was the man, like, you know.
And he was so he was so not appreciative of her skills.
Yeah.
After what he did to me when I was completely blindsided,
Oh gosh,
I realized that he is capable of a lot, and I wanted to be educated and find out what the hell happened and who this man is.
What does that say about you as a researcher if you didn't even do the proper research on the man you were sleeping with? What does it say about you, Betty? You wait till after he breaks your heart to deep dive? I remember, and I'll never forget, when Betty was confronted with JLR's past, she called it brilliant. She thought it was brilliant. Look where it led him today. It was a brilliant troll move he made. Now it was devious and evil and, you know, oh, please.
Ooh, Feisty Justine is right.
What?
She can relate with Seth because another one who was cheated on and has deep feelings about it.
That's what I said. They're two scorn exes using this child and his name and his disappearance to seek revenge on their exes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it disgusts me. But you guys can keep watching him and doing whatever. I don't care. You guys will learn over time who this man is because
if they
he's
read
a
his
shady
book.
character. That's why he was a 3-time felon and why he went to jail for fraud. He knows what makes people tick. He was that kind of guy that got into your head and got your information directly from you. That's how good he was.
He's so good. He did like a spell and got in her head. Betty's mad because she wanted JLR to help her avoid taxes, and she gave him her social security, access to her bank accounts, access to her YouTube channel. Please, Betty, please.
So just FYI,
JJ, you're from Philly?
Trying to turn a whole community against Seth, and I will not let it happen. And I'm the person between
nobody's
him
scared of
and
you,
his
Betty.
Heathens and Seth.
And
he'll never be able to get over me, under me, or around me. I have too much dirt on that man.
Over me, under me, or around me.
So we'll see how he chooses to play. But hey,
the title,
you know
Sebastian
I'm
Rogers.
not opposed to going to the front of his house and doing a live there. I'm not.
First off, this sounds like blackmail. Doesn't it sound like blackmail? Sounds a lot like blackmail to me. Oh, I'll do this if he does this, and I'll do this. You think you can coercively control somebody this way, Betty? JLR could go get an RO against her.
For that.
It's just so invasive.
So we'll see how he chooses to play. But hey, you know what? I'm not opposed to going to the front of his house and doing a live there. I'm not opposed to having a bullhorn in front of his house. I'm not opposed.
Wow. I live in Moscow, Idaho, and every time he's here, they treat him like a VIP. You know where he's at because people are yelling out to him. He is like a celebrity here. That probably kills Betty because that's how he was over here in the county when he was searching for Danilo.
Opposed to letting his neighbors know what kind of dog he is. Because remember, his neighbors used to see me coming over there all the time. And now they see this fat, ugly lady coming over there with a smushed face.
Oh, talk about jealous. Fat, ugly woman with a smushed face. I thought you don't go over anymore, Betty. Now stop that. I can't believe how she's going to go tell his neighbors. What do you... Elizabeth, do you remember me from 2 years ago? Remember you said something to me? Well, JLR broke my heart, Elizabeth. He broke my heart for that Magnolia woman. Wow.
I'm sure they're probably scratching their heads saying, what's going on here?
Oh, he moved
And I
on?
remember the last time I was over there, I remember the neighbors like, oh, we haven't seen you for a while. And it was just odd how his neighbor was talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been on the road for the last several months. And she's like, oh. And I never caught wind of it. I never read.
So now you're going to go back and knock on that neighbor's door and tell her that JLR cheated on you? Just move on, Betty. You sound nuts.
Her like that, because I never believed that Jonathan was capable of doing that. You know, I've never thought he was capable of lying about an innocent father either.
Oh, please.
But we're learning a lot.
Like you didn't get
and I'm just
Don Wells fired.
Ashamed that I was ever associated with him.
I bet you're ashamed.
I think he's a disgusting, vile individual that has nothing better to do. He worries about his clicks and views and about being in the spotlight more than he cares about these cases. When he was with Olivia and I got to be honest with you. It seemed to me like he actually gave a shit about the cases and the victims.
And now he doesn't because he doesn't care about
slowly, you. Get away with that. Stop that. Like even JJ Rollins, there was a time when he would have been out in the field looking for that boy, and he wasn't doing any of that. He was just running around filming everybody. And it's like, what the hell happened to you? That was way.
What you do, Betty? What you do? Oh my gosh, she sounds nuts. You want to see? Yeah, Magnolia's on camera. She's a pretty woman. She's so jealous of her. Magnolia's channel, I would go as far as to say, is doing better than Betty's at this time. Is this half her face? Oh, it is. Hold on, I'm looking for you. Well, I can just show you her thumbnail, I guess. She's a pretty woman. She's a pretty girl. And not only that, but she has experience. She's an actual journalist. She's helped out JLR's channel significantly. Doesn't that sound ridiculous, Kelly? I can't believe the way she's talking right now. It's serious. She's blackmailing him. She's threatening to show up at his house. She's talking shit about Magnolia. Magnolia is beautiful. Like, I was actually a bit taken back. She's a very pretty woman. She's educated. Care if you personally like these people or not. You can't take that away from her.
You know what? Magnolia can read a room. Right?
Look, she's a pretty girl.
Yeah, she's
pretty
not
woman.
up his ass.
Yep.
You know?
Not insecure.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Not at all.
Go Eagles. Go Eagles. Yeah.
I mean, the night and day between, look at Betty, dude. She is she looks ragged.
Magnolia has her hair done. She put her makeup on. She knows how to present herself to the camera, to the people.
I think she's pretty too. And I think
thank you, SS.
I think that those two together are actually really good. I mean, it's been a while now, so.
Yeah. They seem very happy. They, the way they converse with each other, they share a lot of similar interests. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I think it's cool, actually.
Yeah, good for them. And here's Betty with her smushed face, and the neighbor's probably like, where that socio Eileen Warnos lookalike go to?
Yeah, like, what?
How about that, Jay? She said, I'm going to go tell his neighbors.
Yeah, I know. Did you hear her talk about the neighbor coming up to her?
Oh, I have to, Kelly. Yeah. The neighbor came up to me and said, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. And I didn't realize what she was saying at that time. But now I get it.
Oh, my God.
So she's going to go knock on the neighbor's door and be like, did you know that he chose the smush face woman over me?
Unbelievable.
She's really something else.
And you know what's really crazy about it, Granny, is that she's not embarrassed by anything.
Right. Betty, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. She has no self-awareness. She really thinks she's making herself sound better here.
I mean, I've never seen it to this extent. Like, I've seen people like that, and they reach a certain point, and usually they will back off. Usually they just go silent. Kind of like T-Rev, right? He tried to back himself up, and then he was just like, fuck, I can't do this. And he just went silent.
Right.
This woman, he eventually got a clue, is what I mean, somewhat. But this woman, she just acts like none of this is going on around her, that she's not under a protection order.
Right. She's like, yes. Let me show you this. First off, if you're looking for a wholesome video, again, I don't care your personal feelings on JLR or Magnolia.
Oh,
this is Magnolia.
Cute.
Right. This is the most wholesome video. These two talking to the horses. Oh my God. You think JLR is an abuser? See the way he talks to the fucking horses, okay? But this is Magnolia. This is who she's calling fat. This is who she calls fat.
Maggie.
This woman's not fat.
Not at all.
Maggie.
Maggie. God, I'm in my zone right now. I'm talking to
Aw, he calls her Maggie.
What was this? I mean, let these two love each other. Look, she has her nails done. Look at that ring, Bets. Look at those rings. She has her nails done. She's in touch with the animals. These horses would run from Betty.
She's gentle.
Yeah. I mean, she's not, and this is what Betty's threatened by, calling her a smush face, calling her fat, I mean, you know, you're so jealous, Betty. This woman's not
she's
fat.
got a cooter in her armpit. Come on now.
Right. Meanwhile, that's what I was about to say. Meanwhile, did you see Betty and her hotel videos? Don't call other women fat. We all get to an age where our birth fupas get a little bit, you know, foopier.
Shit starts sagging.
You start sagging and, you know, but when your armpit has a cooter, I don't think you should judge other women.
Oh my God, hearing you say cooter.
Cooters took over the chats.
Oh my God.
I mean, even Dolly was like, put on a bra if you're going to address me.
I know. When you offend Dolly, you know it's on.
That was one of the funniest videos I watched. I mean, Dolly cracks me up anyway, but that, you know, when he's just being funny and he's not being harmful. But when he did that video and he's like, if you're going to address me, put on a bra. Oh, God. Oh, well, Jay, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, I'll see you later.
And let me know how I get on the team. I hope you're making good money being on this team.
Yeah. Let me consult with my boss, T-Rev, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do.
All right. See ya.
Bye. Did you guys see T-Rev's making his entrance back, claiming he's the king? T-Rev's the king of social media, of true crime. I'm like, okay, T-Rev, okay. So he'll be back someday soon. Get out of my way, thing. There we go. But yeah, I'm curious to see how T-Rev comes back from this one. And I appreciate you guys spent a lot of time with me today. I think it's been like nearly 4 hours. Holy crap. I appreciate you guys being here. It's a very interesting day. It was an interesting overview of what's been going on. Some of the things stick out like sore thumbs. Some of them stick out like Betty did to the neighbor. What are you doing here? I like the video of the two of them walking on the beach together. Yeah, I mean, let the guy be happy, you know? Betty just, it comes out so much, so scorned. Really, Betty? We all see through it. And if you think Betty is scorned, please put your thumb on the like button. Nicole B, I have to look at what you said earlier. I took a screenshot. The Liar King. Betty does look like a worn out. Never mind. Let's not be too mean. We don't have to be like Betty. She's an asshole. So I'm curious to see if we got conflicting answers here. Did Betty get served with the RO? Was it granted or was it just extended? Do these people even know what they're talking about when they say this? It was granted. Do they know? Do they know the difference between, you can't even say it. Do they know the difference between an extension or being granted? I don't know. Let me get myself out of the way here. What do you guys think? I guess we'll find out soon, right? Oh, Shar, you got me on the TV. It makes me feel special. What was the stream that Jay said earlier where BHB was talking? I just played that crime scene. It was actually right as we hit exit. Betty was on the rant about the neighbor. I'll do it real quick before we go.
But we're learning a lot, you know, and I'm just ashamed. I'm ashamed all the time. And I'm the person between him and his heathens and Seth.
The heathens.
And he'll never be able to get over me, under me, or around me. I have too much dirt on that man.
That's what I figured it meant. Extend it until she can be served.
So we'll see how he chooses to play. But hey, you know what? I'm not opposed to going into the front of his house and doing a live there. I'm not opposed to having a bullhorn in front of his house. I'm not opposed to letting his neighbors know what kind of dog he is. Because remember, his neighbors used to see me coming over there all the time. And now they see this fat, ugly lady coming over there with a smushed face. I'm sure they're probably scratching their heads saying, what's going on here?
I'm sorry, but does Betty really think she's prettier than Magnolia? I don't think Seth should be cleared. He seems sus, and Ellie probably see that too with all his odd behavior. He even lied about his job at the beginning. It's almost like he enjoys this.
And I remember the last time I was over there, I remember the neighbors like, oh, we haven't seen you for a while. And it was just odd how his neighbor was talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, well, I've been on the road for the last several months. And she's like, oh. And I never caught wind of it. I never read her like that because I never believed that Jonathan was capable of doing that.
What this tells me is that Betty went back and rethought every moment of their relationship. Part of me feels bad, man. I think she really did love this man.
I've never thought he was capable of lying about an innocent father either.
The ending?
But about Seth and Sebastian, let's work toward a good resolution in this case. Seth believes his son is out there. His son is out there alive. I would love nothing more than to bring his son home alive. But we need the right people to help with this case and advocate for this case. And all these idiots want to do is sabotage this case. So it's, I just really would have preferred the old Jonathan, but he'll never come back because just like every other abusive man, you fall in love with the man you think they are instead of who they are. And that's what.
See, that's not fair. Just because he chose not to continue dating you you just said he was never abusive towards you. He didn't manipulate you. He didn't, maybe he did. What do I know? But I do know that he chose to end a relationship with her. And he has a right to do that without being labeled suddenly abusive. She just admitted he never abused her.
What happened. So anyways, guys, I really hope you guys denounce this practice of bullying an innocent father. We're not here for that kid. And if that's what is said to me, then that's what I would do. There's been many cases I didn't take on. Many. Out Seth and Sebastian, let's work toward a good resolution in this case. Seth believes his son is out there.
If he believes his son's out there, why is he calling it a recovery mission? You saw the last 2 videos, JLR in Florida, not hurricane, but someone unalived the family. Horrible, but he had to shut down his live and leave. She come riding up stalking. I did see that. Right, the old Jonathan was the criminal. He grew. She's so scorned. It's horrible. It's horrible to now come out here and label him all these things. Granted, I don't know what the relationship was like. I don't know. Did he tell Betty we're officially together? I don't know. All I know is he has chose to move on. He has done so in a way that none of us ever even knew they were dating. We don't hear JLR out here disparaging her or pointing out nasty things or nasty rumors about her. He's just trying to live his life. We can see right through it, Betty. I mean, you're the scorned one saying you never talk about him. I don't think there's been at one single stream since you jumped on Sebastian's case where you didn't mention JLR. Not one single one. It's aggravating. Nothing good about that woman. You know what? While we're here, we'll go ahead and end it where it should be since, the whole interview turned out to be about Seth and Tony. I guess we can keep the focus where we can. On February 26, 2024, an Amber Alert went out for 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian is white, 5'5", 120 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Sebastian was last seen wearing a black long-sleeve shirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. He has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. If you have seen Sebastian or have information regarding his whereabouts, please contact the Sumner County Emergency Center or TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. Let's take this moment to pray for Sebastian's safe return.